The Resolute wasn't supposed to exist anymore. Admiral Trench's tactical brilliance had seen to that. 3 Separatist Providence-class destroyers converging on Anakin Skywalker's flagship, while Vulture droids swarmed like insects through the debris field above Christophsis. The Republic battle group had fractured under the assault, ships scattering through hyperspace in a desperate fighting retreat that abandoned coordination for survival. Anakin had made the call himself, one hand on the helm, the other reaching through the Force to steady his dying ship as turbo laser fire carved through aft shielding and reactor containment alarms screamed their final warnings. The hyperdrive was damaged, catastrophically according to engineering. Jumping without proper calculations was suicide. Jumping with a compromised hyperdrive was worse. He jumped anyway, because Anakin Skywalker didn't believe in no-win scenarios, and because 3,000 clone troopers trusted him to get them home, and because the alternative was watching his ship. His ship, the one he'd commanded through a dozen impossible battles, break apart under Separatist guns while he did nothing. The hyperspace tunnel had felt wrong from the first millisecond. Not the usual smooth transition into that blue-white dimension between dimensions, but a violent tearing sensation that made even Anakin's Force-enhanced reflexes scream warnings. The Resolute had tumbled through hyperspace like a stone skipping across water, each impact against reality's membrane threatening to shatter the ship's structural integrity entirely. And then they dropped back into real space with all the grace of a crashed speeder. "Status report," Anakin barked, gripping the command console as the bridge shook violently enough to throw unsecured crew members against bulkheads. Around him, clone officers fought to stabilize their dying vessel, while damage reports flooded in from every deck. "Someone tell me we're not about to explode." "Hyperdrive is completely offline, sir," Admiral Yularen reported from his station, the naval officer's usual composure cracking slightly as he processed the data streaming across his displays. Reactor containment holding at 63%, hull breaches on decks 7 through 12. And General Skywalker, he looked up, his expression troubled. "We have no idea where we are." Captain Rex appeared at Anakin's side, his Phase 2 armor scorched from fire suppression efforts in the lower decks. "Sir, the men are requesting orders. Engineering says the hyperdrive damage is worse than we thought. They're estimating 3 standard days minimum for repairs, possibly longer if we can't fabricate replacement components." Anakin nodded curtly, his tactical mind already racing through their options despite the chaos. 3 days without hyperspace capability meant 3 days vulnerable to anyone who stumbled across them. 3 days unable to rejoin the Republic fleet. 3 days for the Separatists to track their jump signature and finish what they'd started. "Where's Obi-Wan?" Anakin asked, scanning the bridge for his former master's distinctive presence in the Force. The familiar warmth of Obi-Wan's signature was there, calm, steady, infuriatingly unruffled despite the circumstances, approaching from the turbo lift. "Right here. My young friend," Obi-Wan Kenobi said, stepping onto the bridge with the measured grace of a man who'd learned that panic solved nothing. His robes bore scorch marks from the recent battle, and a fresh cut across his cheek suggested he'd been somewhere less protected than the bridge when they'd made their emergency jump. Though I must say, your piloting continues to define new standards for recklessness. I believe we've just set a record for most unauthorized hyperspace jumps during catastrophic systems failure. We're alive, Anakin shot back. That's what matters. A low bar, but I'll accept it. Obi-Wan moved to the navigation console, his blue eyes scanning the star charts with practiced efficiency. Admiral, do we have any fix on our position? Yularen's fingers danced across holographic displays, his frown deepening with each scan. Negative, General Kenobi. These coordinates don't match anything in the Republic navigation database. We're beyond the outer rim, beyond even the unknown regions that have been partially charted. Sir, based on stellar drift calculations, I'd estimate we're at least 50,000 light-years from Coruscant. The bridge fell silent. 50,000 light-years. That was farther than most Republic vessels had ever traveled, farther than even the most ambitious exploration missions had mapped. They were in a region of space where no Republic ship had ever been recorded, where the hyperspace lanes didn't exist, where they were utterly and completely alone. Well, Obi-Wan said with characteristic dry humor, so this is certainly farther from the temple than I'd planned to be this evening. Anakin shot him a look. Not helping, Master. I'm not trying to help. I'm trying to prevent you from spiraling into one of your I can fix everything moods that inevitably make situations worse. Obi-Wan turned to Yularen. What's our sensor reading showing? Any Republic signatures within range? None, sir, but... Yularen paused, his expression shifting from concern to wonder. We're not entirely alone. The main view screen flickered to life, and every person on the bridge fell silent. Hanging in the darkness of space before them, illuminated by a yellow star that their sensors designated as G-type main sequence, was a planet. Not just any planet. A living world swirled with white clouds, brilliant blue oceans covering most of its surface, green and brown continents clearly visible even from this distance. But what made Anakin's breath catch, what made even the battle-hardened clones stop their damage control efforts to stare, was the light. The planet's night side blazed with artificial illumination. Not scattered points of light like primitive settlements, but vast networks of cities creating a glow visible from orbit. Millions of light sources connected in geometric patterns that suggested advanced infrastructure, organized civilization, technological sophistication that shouldn't exist in uncharted space. By the Force, Obi-Wan breathed, stepping closer to the screen. His connection to the Force had been quietly probing since they'd dropped from hyperspace, reaching out through the cosmic energy to sense what lay ahead, and what he felt, or rather, what he didn't feel, was profoundly disturbing. There's no presence in the Force from that world, nothing. It's as if the planet itself exists outside the Force's touch. Anakin frowned, extending his own Force senses toward the blue planet. Obi-Wan was right. Where there should be a resonance of life, a connection to the energy field that bound all living things, there was absence. Not darkness like the Sith, not emptiness like dead worlds. Just a strange void where the Force couldn't quite reach, as if reality was slightly different there. Population estimate, Rex ordered, his tactical instincts kicking in despite the strangeness of the situation. The sensor officer, a clone designated tracker, ran his scans, then stopped, recalibrated his instruments, and ran them again. When he looked up, his voice carried disbelief. "Sir, I'm reading over 8 billion sentient life forms. The sensors are identifying them as human or genetically close enough that we can't distinguish a difference." 8 billion, Commander Cody repeated, having arrived on the bridge during the exchange. His orange-marked armor was dented from the battle, but his bearing remained solid. "That's more population than Alderaan, and we've never heard of them." "More than that," Tracker continued, his fingers flying across his console. "They're technologically advanced for a non-hyperspace civilization. I'm detecting satellites in orbit, space stations, even what appears to be ships traveling between the planet and its single natural moon. They've achieved spaceflight, just not faster than light capability." Anakin moved closer to the view screen, his mind already racing through the implications. 8 billion humans living on a world that existed outside known space, outside Republic contact, outside even the Force's normal influence. It was impossible. Humanity had spread across the galaxy through hyperspace travel over millennia. Finding an isolated human population this size, this advanced, suggested something had happened here that didn't fit any historical model he knew. "How is this possible?" he asked, not expecting an answer. "Humans don't evolve independently on multiple worlds. We know that. The Rakata Empire seeded human populations across the galaxy 100,000 years ago, but they had hyperdrive technology. How did a human civilization this size develop in complete isolation?" "Perhaps they were stranded here," Obi-Wan suggested quietly. "A colony ship from the old Republic era, lost during the Jedi-Sith wars, crashed on this world, and the survivors built a civilization over thousands of years. Or perhaps..." He paused, his expression troubled. "Perhaps the Force itself isolated them for reasons we don't understand." Rex cleared his throat. "Sirs, with respect, the bigger question is, what do we do about them?" It was the question that hung over everything. The Clone Wars had taught them all hard lessons about what happened to primitive worlds caught between the Republic and Separatists. Strategic value, resource potential, recruitment opportunities. This planet, with its billions of inhabitants and uncharted location, would be a prize beyond measure for either side. Anakin's jaw tightened. "We can't just leave them here. If we found them, someone else will eventually. The Separatists would offer them technology, protection, and recruitment into their cause." Obi-Wan finished. "Yes, and then this world becomes another battleground in our war. But Anakin, we can't make this decision alone. This is a matter for the Jedi Council, for the Senate. First contact with an isolated human civilization requires time we might not have," Anakin interrupted. "How long until we can send a message to Coruscant?" "Long-range communications are functional," Yularen reported. "But at this distance, even faster than light transmissions will take hours to reach the core worlds. And that's assuming we can punch through whatever spatial anomaly allowed us to arrive here in the first place. Then we send the message now and assess the situation while we wait for response," Obi-Wan decided. "Admiral, begin composing an encrypted transmission to the Jedi Council. Full situation report, our position, the planet, everything. Rex, Cody, have your men stand down from combat alert, but maintain readiness. station the Resolute on the far side of the planet's moon, where we'll be hidden from direct observation." "And what do we do while the ship's being repaired?" Anakin asked, though his tone suggested he already had ideas. Obi-Wan smiled slightly. "We observe, quietly and carefully. I want to understand these people before we reveal ourselves. 3 scouts, civilian clothing, minimal equipment. We'll take a stealth shuttle down to one of their major population centers and see what kind of civilization we're dealing with." "You're suggesting we infiltrate an alien civilization without authorization," Yularen said carefully. "Oh, I'm suggesting we gather intelligence before making decisions that could affect billions of lives," Obi-Wan corrected. "There's a difference." Anakin was already moving toward the turbolift. "I'm going. If we're doing reconnaissance, you'll need someone who can think fast if things go wrong." "I was afraid you'd say that," Obi-Wan muttered, but he didn't argue. Anakin's impulsiveness was legendary, but his instincts were usually sound. Usually. "Rex, you're with us. Cody, you have command until we return." As the 3 of them departed to prepare, Yularen turned back to the view screen showing the blue planet rotating peacefully below. Somewhere down there, 8 billion humans lived their lives completely unaware that the galaxy they gazed at through telescopes was filled with civilizations that had been traveling the stars for thousands of generations. They didn't know about the Force, about Jedi and Sith, about the Clone Wars raging across known space. They were isolated, alone, and utterly vulnerable. The Republic had discovered them, and in discovering them, had gained a responsibility that would ripple across the galaxy in ways impossible to predict. The stealth shuttle descended through Earth's atmosphere under cover of darkness, its cloaking systems engaged to mask it from the primitive detection grids that dotted the planet's surface. Anakin sat in the pilot's seat, his hands dancing across controls that felt too sluggish after piloting starfighters, while Obi-Wan occupied the co-pilot position and studied the data streaming across holographic displays. Rex stood in the troop bay behind them, adjusting the uncomfortable civilian clothing they'd fabricated based on intercepted visual broadcasts. The garments felt wrong. No armor, no protection, just fabric that wouldn't stop a blaster bolt or even a projectile weapon. But blending in required looking like the locals, and the locals didn't walk around in clone trooper armor. "Preliminary scans complete," Obi-Wan announced, scrolling through data that painted a picture of Earth's civilization. The planet has approximately 200 nation-states, hundreds of spoken languages, and no unified planetary government. They're fragmented politically but connected through sophisticated communication networks. "Sounds like the Outer Rim," Anakin observed, guiding the shuttle below the cloud layer. Beneath them, the sprawl of a massive city emerged. Canyons of towering structures ablaze with artificial light, vehicles streaming through streets in organized chaos. "How advanced are they really?" "Difficult to assess precisely," Obi-Wan replied. "They've split the atom, built computing systems, sent explorers to their moon using chemical rockets. Their technology is crude by our standards, but impressive for a species that hasn't discovered hyperspace. What concerns me more is this." He pulled up a comparative analysis. "Their weapons technology is disproportionately advanced relative to their other developments. They've created explosive devices powerful enough to destroy entire cities, chemical and biological agents designed specifically for mass killing. And according to these intercepted military communications, he paused, his expression troubled. They've fought 2 planetary wars in the last century that killed over 100 million of their own species. Anakin's hands tightened on the controls. They're at war with themselves. They have been repeatedly throughout their recorded history, Obi-Wan confirmed. The current geopolitical situation appears to be a tense standoff between competing power blocks, each armed with enough nuclear weapons, that's what they call atomic explosives, to render the planet uninhabitable. It's mutually assured destruction as a peacekeeping strategy. That's insane, Rex said from the doorway. Why would you build weapons you can't use without destroying yourselves? Because they believe the threat of using them prevents their enemies from attacking first, Obi-Wan explained. It's a form of deterrence theory that assumes rational actors won't risk total annihilation. The problem is, it only takes one irrational actor to end everything, Anakin finished grimly. He'd seen enough of the Clone Wars to understand how quickly rational strategies collapsed when fear, desperation, or ideology overrode logical thinking. Yet where are we landing? Target coordinates are what their communication systems designate as New York City, Obi-Wan said, highlighting a location on the eastern coast of a massive continent. It hosts an international organization called the United Nations, representatives from most of their nation-states gathering to discuss global issues. If we're going to understand their civilization's decision-making structures, that's where we start. The shuttle settled onto a rooftop landing pad on a mid-level building several blocks from the UN headquarters. Anakin engaged the cloaking system one final time, ensuring the shuttle would remain invisible to both visual and electronic detection, then joined Obi-Wan and Rex in the bay. They looked ridiculous. Obi-Wan wore what the fabricator had designated as business casual, dark trousers, a button-down shirt, a jacket that concealed his lightsaber. Anakin had opted for something similar but more casual, unable to completely abandon his preference for practicality over formality. Rex looked profoundly uncomfortable in civilian clothing, his military bearing impossible to disguise even without armor. "Remember," Obi-Wan said as they prepared to disembark, "we're observers only. No interference, no revealing ourselves unless absolutely necessary. We're here to understand these people, to determine what kind of civilization we've discovered. Stay close, speak minimally, and follow my lead." "When have I ever not followed your lead?" Anakin asked with a grin that suggested numerous examples. "Do you want the chronological list or the one organized by severity of consequences?" Obi-Wan replied dryly. They stepped out onto Earth's surface for the first time, and the sensory assault was immediate. The noise hit first, vehicle engines roaring, horns blaring, millions of voices creating a constant background hum of human activity that made Coruscant's lower levels seem quiet by comparison. The smell followed. Exhaust fumes from combustion engines, cooking food from countless restaurants, the distinctive odor of organic waste and industrial pollution that came from a civilization still learning to manage its environmental impact. After the recycled air of starships, it was raw and immediate and utterly alien despite the familiar human faces surrounding them. People rushed past on the sidewalks, most focused on handheld communication devices that seemed to command their complete attention. Others talked into these devices, conducting conversations with distant parties through electromagnetic transmission rather than holographic communication. Vehicles streamed through streets and designated lanes, stopping and starting in response to colored lights that regulated traffic flow. Primitive but functional, Rex observed, watching a woman nearly walk into traffic while staring at her device. Their situational awareness is terrible, though. Half these people would be dead in a combat zone within minutes. They're not in a combat zone, Obi-Wan pointed out. They're going about their daily lives in what they consider a safe, organized society. To them, checking messages and navigating crowded streets is normal behavior. Anakin extended his Force senses outward, trying to get a feel for the population around them. What he encountered was unsettling. The Force was there. It permeated all living things after all, but it felt muted, distant, as if there was a barrier between these humans and the cosmic energy that Jedi drew upon. No one registered as Force sensitive. Not a single person in the thousands he could sense showed even a flicker of potential connection. "This is wrong," he said quietly. "I've been to hundreds of worlds, Obi-Wan. Even non-Force sensitive populations have some individuals with latent abilities, children who might become Jedi if trained. But here, nothing. 8 billion humans and not one of them connects to the Force." "I know," Obi-Wan replied, his own discomfort evident. "It's as if the Force itself has quarantined them somehow. Or perhaps they've evolved in isolation so complete that they developed differently from the rest of humanity. Either way, it's unprecedented in Jedi records." They moved deeper into the city, observing and absorbing. The architecture was impressive. Steel and glass towers reaching hundreds of meters into the sky, construction techniques that compensated for limited materials with engineering innovation. The transportation system showed similar ingenuity, underground rail networks moving millions of people daily. Aerial traffic patterns that manage thousands of aircraft without collision despite relatively primitive guidance systems. But everywhere Anakin looked, he saw evidence of the militarism Obi-Wan had mentioned. Uniformed police officers carrying projectile weapons, security cameras monitoring public spaces, military aircraft patrolling the skies, and on news displays visible through storefront windows, constant coverage of military tensions, territorial disputes, weapons development. "Rex," Anakin said, nodding toward a nearby screen showing footage of massive military formations. "You should see this." They moved closer, joining a small crowd watching the broadcast. The images showed thousands of soldiers in formation, tanks and artillery, aircraft flying overhead in coordinated displays. The text scrolling across the bottom, automatically translated by their comlinks, read, "NATO and Russian forces face off in Eastern Europe. Nuclear tensions escalate." "They're preparing for war," Rex observed quietly. "Full military mobilization. Those aren't defensive positions. Those are invasion forces." "Or deterrence," Obi-Wan countered, "showing strength to prevent conflict rather than initiate it. Though the line between the two is often invisible until someone crosses it." Anakin watched the screen, his tactical mind analyzing what he saw. The weapons were crude. Kinetic projectiles, chemical explosives, armored vehicles that relied on treads rather than repulsor lifts. But the scale was staggering. Millions of soldiers under arms, thousands of vehicles, aircraft, support systems. This was a civilization that had industrialized warfare in ways that reminded him uncomfortably of the Separatist droid army approach. "It's the Clone Wars in miniature," Anakin said. "They're tearing themselves apart over disputes that wouldn't even register on a galactic scale. Territory, resources, ideology, the same things that turn star systems against each other. Except they're doing it to themselves," Rex added. "No external threat. No separatist invasion. Just humans fighting humans over which group gets to be in charge." A voice behind them made all three turn. "First time in New York?" A young man stood there, early 20s, wearing casual clothing and holding one of those ubiquitous communication devices. His expression was friendly, curious about three obviously out-of-place men staring at a news broadcast. Obi-Wan smiled smoothly. "Yes, actually, visiting from abroad. We're still adjusting to the energy of the city." "Yeah, it can be overwhelming," the young man agreed, "especially with all this war talk. You guys hear about the thing in orbit? Someone posted photos online of something big reflecting sunlight near the moon. Probably space junk, but conspiracy theorists are going nuts thinking it's aliens or whatever." Anakin felt his stomach drop. Someone had spotted the Resolute despite their precautions. He glanced at Obi-Wan, seeing his own concern reflected in his former master's careful expression. "Aliens," Obi-Wan repeated, with just the right tone of amused skepticism. "How exciting, though I suspect it's more likely to be exactly what you said. Space debris or a satellite malfunction." "That's what I told my friends," the young man said, pulling up images on his device. "But look at this. That's way too big to be a satellite, and it's in a stable orbit behind the moon like it's trying to hide. I'm uploading these to the astronomy forums. Maybe someone with better equipment can figure it out." He walked away, leaving the three of them staring at each other. "We need to get back to the ship," Rex said urgently. "If their governments start investigating—" "They already are," Obi-Wan interrupted, checking the datapad that was receiving signals from the shuttle's monitoring systems. "I'm tracking their global communication networks. There's an emergency session being convened at the United Nations in—" He checked the timestamp. 3 hours. "The topic is unidentified object in lunar orbit. They know we're here." Anakin swore quietly. "So much for covert observation. What's the plan?" Obi-Wan was silent for a long moment, his eyes distant as he reached through the Force for guidance. The answer came not as words, but as a feeling, a sense that the time for hiding was past, that these humans deserved honesty rather than manipulation, and that the next few hours would determine not just Earth's fate, but potentially the course of the Clone Wars itself. "We make contact," Obi-Wan said finally. "Official, open contact. We reveal ourselves to their government representatives and explain who we are, where we come from, and why we're here." "Master, that's a decision that should come from the Council," Anakin protested. "First contact protocols exist for a reason." "Under normal circumstances, yes," Obi-Wan agreed. "But these aren't normal circumstances. We're in the middle of a war, and this planet is about to become a strategic objective, whether we like it or not. If we wait for official authorization from Coruscant, we risk the Separatists making contact first. And I guarantee you, The Dooku won't handle it with the care and respect these people deserve." Rex's expression was troubled. "General Kenobi, if we reveal ourselves without orders, the Council could court-martial me." "Yes," Obi-Wan finished. "I'm aware. But sometimes, Captain, doing the right thing means accepting consequences. These people are about to learn they're not alone in the universe. That knowledge should come from beings who genuinely want to help them, not from those who would exploit them." Anakin studied his former master, seeing the determination there, the willingness to violate protocol because following protocol would result in worse outcomes. It was, ironically, exactly the kind of thinking Anakin usually employed that Obi-Wan usually argued against. "All right," Anakin said, "we make contact, but we do it smart. No walking into the UN and announcing we're from space. We need leverage, information, something that makes them willing to listen, rather than shoot first and ask questions later." "Agreed," Obi-Wan said, "which is why we're going to that emergency session. We'll observe from the gallery, understand their concerns, and then, when the moment is right, we'll introduce ourselves, calmly, peacefully, and with evidence that leaves no room for doubt." They altered course toward the United Nations headquarters, three figures from another galaxy walking through crowds of humans who had no idea that their isolation was measured in hours rather than years, that the stable world they knew was about to shatter into something vastly larger and infinitely more dangerous. Behind them, hidden in lunar orbit, the Resolute waited with its complement of clone troopers, all depending on their generals to navigate a situation that had no precedent in Republic history, and far beyond Earth's solar system, across vast reaches of space where hyperspace lanes connected 1,000,000 worlds, the Clone Wars continued to rage, unaware that a new world was about to be drawn into the conflict that would reshape the galaxy itself. Getting into the United Nations required more creativity than Anakin had anticipated. The building's security was surprisingly sophisticated for a pre-hyperspace civilization. Identification checkpoints, metal detectors scanning for weapons, armed guards at every entrance, and surveillance cameras tracking movement through every corridor. "I could just suggest to the guards that we belong here," Anakin offered as they observed the main entrance from across the street. He'd used force persuasion countless times during the war, a subtle push that made weak-minded individuals accept whatever he wanted them to believe. "Absolutely not," Obi-Wan said firmly. "Using the Force to manipulate their security would be our first interaction with this civilization, and it would be based on deception. That's not the foundation I want to build." "Then how do we get inside?" Rex asked, eyeing the checkpoint with a soldier's tactical assessment. "We don't have identification that would pass inspection, and I'm guessing they're not letting random citizens into an emergency Security Council session." Obi-Wan smiled slightly. "We don't need to be citizens. We need to be journalists." 30 minutes later, armed with fabricated press credentials that Rex had created using the shuttle's computer to mimic Earth's security features, they approached a side entrance reserved for international media. The credentials wouldn't hold up to detailed scrutiny, but they only needed to work long enough to get inside. The security guard, a middle-aged woman with sharp eyes that had seen too many people trying to talk their way past checkpoints, examined their credentials with professional skepticism. "Global News Network," she read aloud. "Never heard of it." "We're new," Obi-Wan said smoothly, his voice carrying just enough confidence to sound legitimate without being arrogant. "Independent digital journalism, trying to cover the big stories that mainstream outlets ignore." "Like mysterious objects in space?" the guard asked dryly, but she was already waving them through. The emergency session had brought dozens of journalists from outlets she'd never heard of either. What were 3 more? They made their way through corridors filled with hurried diplomats, translators speaking into earpieces, and security personnel maintaining tight watch over the controlled chaos. The United Nations during a crisis was organized pandemonium, everyone moving with purpose, but the purposes often conflicted. The Security Council chamber gallery was already packed with journalists, observers, and various international officials when they arrived. Anakin scanned the room with both eyes and force senses, assessing threats, exits, and the general emotional state of the crowd. Fear mixed with excitement, uncertainty warring with curiosity. These people knew something significant was happening but didn't understand what. Below, in the main chamber, 15 delegates sat around the distinctive horseshoe-shaped table. Representatives from the United States, Russia, China, France, and the United Kingdom occupied the permanent member positions, while rotating members from various other nations filled the remaining seats. The Secretary General, a composed woman whose name their translation software identified as Maria Santos, called the session to order with the gravity of someone who understood they were making history. "We convene this emergency session to address the unidentified object detected in lunar orbit," she began, her voice steady despite the unprecedented nature of the situation. "Multiple national space agencies have confirmed its presence. It is large, metallic, and displaying characteristics inconsistent with known satellites or space debris. We need to determine what we're dealing with and how the international community should respond." The American ambassador stood first, pulling up enhanced images on the central display. "Oh, our analysis shows a structure approximately 1 kilometer in length, with a hull composition unlike anything in our materials database. The propulsion systems don't match any known technology, and the energy signature suggests a power source far beyond our current capabilities. Which is precisely why we should be cautious about assumptions," the Chinese ambassador countered smoothly. "For all we know, this could be an experimental military satellite from a nation trying to intimidate others, or a natural phenomenon we simply don't understand yet. Natural phenomena don't have symmetrical hull plating and what appear to be weapons emplacements," the British ambassador interjected, highlighting specific sections of the imagery. "Look at these structures. They're clearly designed, built with intention and purpose. Whatever this is, it was made by intelligent beings." Rex leaned close to Anakin, his voice barely above a whisper. "They're analyzing the Resolute like it's a scientific puzzle. They have no frame of reference for what they're looking at." "Can you blame them?" Anakin replied quietly. "They've spent their entire existence thinking they're alone. Now they're confronting evidence that challenges everything they've ever known about their place in the universe." The Russian ambassador leaned forward, his expression grave. "Then we must assume potential hostility. If there are intelligent beings capable of building vessels like this, beings who have traveled to our world without our knowledge or permission, we should prepare for the worst while hoping for the best. Weapons won't help us if this is what I think it is, a quieter voice said. The Brazilian ambassador, a woman whose background included degrees in astrophysics and xenobiology, gestured to the images with trembling hands. That vessel is positioned in a stable orbit behind our moon, using it as cover from direct observation. That suggests intelligence, caution, and possibly peaceful intentions. If they wanted to attack, they could have done so already. Or they're studying us, the French ambassador said darkly, determining our weaknesses before striking. We've read enough science fiction to know how first contact scenarios can go wrong. Obi-Wan had heard enough. He turned to Anakin and Rex, seeing his own determination reflected in their faces. Time to make our presence known, I think. Before either could respond, Obi-Wan stood from his seat in the gallery and used the Force to enhance his voice, projecting it clearly across the chamber without shouting. If I may address the Council. The effect was instantaneous and dramatic. Security personnel drew weapons, projectile pistols that seemed crude compared to blasters but were still quite lethal. Delegates jerked in their seats, scanning for the intrusion's source. The Secretary General raised her hand, commanding her security team to hold fire even as her eyes locked onto Obi-Wan with a mixture of shock and steel-nerved composure. "Who are you?" she demanded. "How did you get past security?" Obi-Wan descended the gallery stairs slowly, hands visible and empty, moving with deliberate calm to appear as non-threatening as possible. Anakin and Rex followed, maintaining careful distance from the armed guards who tracked their every movement. When they reached the main floor, Obi-Wan stopped a respectful distance from the council table and inclined his head in a gesture of respect that translated across cultures. "My name is Obi-Wan Kenobi. I am a Jedi Knight and General in the Grand Army of the Republic. This is Jedi Knight Anakin Skywalker and Captain Rex of the 501st Legion. We come not as invaders or conquerors, but as representatives of a galactic civilization that has, quite by accident, discovered your world." The silence that followed was absolute. 15 delegates stared at them with expressions ranging from disbelief to terror to barely contained excitement. Security personnel seemed frozen, unsure whether to shoot or listen. "The vessel you've detected in lunar orbit," Obi-Wan continued, allowing the translation systems to carry his words to all present, "is the Republic Star Destroyer Resolute. It arrived in your system 3 days ago after suffering damage in battle. We had no knowledge of your world's existence. Your planet is located in a region of space that has never been explored by any galactic civilization in recorded history." "This is insane," the Russian ambassador muttered, though he made no move to leave. "You're claiming to be from another world? From another star system?" "From thousands of star systems," Anakin spoke up, his voice carrying the confidence of someone who'd traveled across the galaxy more times than he could count. "The Galactic Republic has existed for over 25,000 years, encompassing billions of sentient beings across more than 1,000,000 worlds. We travel between stars through a dimension called hyperspace, communicate instantaneously across vast distances, and have encountered countless species in our expansion across the galaxy." He paused, his expression becoming more serious. "And for the past 3 years, we've been at war." That got their attention. Every delegate leaned forward, the tactical implications of that statement registering immediately. "War with whom?" the American ambassador asked sharply. "With ourselves, essentially," Obi-Wan admitted. "A group of star systems calling themselves the Confederacy of Independent Systems, or Separatists, have seceded from the Republic. They believe the central government has become too corrupt, too inefficient to serve the needs of the outer territories. The Republic believes the Separatists are pawns of an ancient order called the Sith, dark side force users who seek to destroy the Jedi Order and seize control of the galaxy." Anakin could see the confusion on their faces at terms like Force and Jedi and Sith. But there would be time for explanations later. Right now, they needed these people to understand the fundamental situation they faced. "The battle that damaged our ship took place hundreds of light years from here," Anakin continued. "We made an emergency hyperspace jump to escape, and random chance brought us to your world. We've been observing you quietly, trying to understand your civilization before making contact. But you detected our vessel, and we decided that honesty was preferable to deception." The Secretary General found her voice, though it carried a tremor she couldn't quite suppress. "You've been watching us for how long?" "Less than a standard day," Rex answered, his military bearing impossible to disguise even in civilian clothing. "General Kenobi ordered a reconnaissance mission to assess your civilization's technological and social development before attempting contact. We walked your streets, observed your people, and learned what we could from your public information networks." "And what did you learn?" the Chinese ambassador asked, his analytical mind clearly racing to process this unprecedented situation. Anakin met his gaze directly. "That you're a divided world on the brink of self-destructive conflict, but also a resilient species capable of remarkable achievements despite limited resources and technology. You've built a complex global civilization without access to the technologies that most spacefaring species consider basic necessities. That's impressive." "It's also terrifying," Obi-Wan added honestly, "because the war we're fighting isn't confined to distant star systems anymore. The Separatists are always looking for new resources, new worlds to recruit to their cause, new strategic positions to exploit. If they learn of your existence, they will come, and they will offer you technology, protection, membership in their confederacy, all in exchange for your loyalty and resources. And you're here to make us a counteroffer," the British ambassador said sharply. "Join the Republic instead." "I'm here to warn you," Obi-Wan replied. "Your isolation is over, whether you choose to acknowledge it or not. Your world now exists within the context of galactic politics. The Republic can offer you protection, technology, and knowledge, but accepting our help means accepting the burdens that come with it. You would be joining a government at war, a civilization struggling with the same corruption and conflict that plagues your own world, just on a vastly larger scale." The French ambassador stood, his face flushed with emotion. "This is absurd. You walk into our most secure facility, claim to be from another world, and expect us to believe you without proof." Obi-Wan reached slowly into his jacket, careful not to make sudden movements that might trigger the nervous security personnel. He withdrew his lightsaber, the cylindrical hilt gleaming under the chamber's lights. Every weapon in the room immediately trained on him. "No, please don't shoot," Obi-Wan said calmly. "I'm simply going to demonstrate something that might help you believe." He thumbed the activation switch, and the blue blade hummed to life with its characteristic snap hiss, casting azure light across the startled faces of Earth's representatives. The reaction was visceral. Several delegates gasped, pushing back from the table. Security personnel tightened their grips on their weapons but held fire, transfixed by the impossible blade of coherent energy that shouldn't exist according to everything they understood about physics. "This is a lightsaber," Obi-Wan explained, holding it aloft, "the weapon of a Jedi Knight. It uses a kyber crystal attuned to the Force to contain a plasma blade capable of cutting through nearly any material. The technology to create these has existed for thousands of years in the Republic." He deactivated it and returned it to his belt, then extended his hand toward the conference table. Using the Force, he lifted several datapads into the air. They floated gently across the chamber, rotating slowly before settling back exactly where they'd been. "The Force is an energy field created by all living things," Obi-Wan continued, lowering his hand. "It binds the galaxy together, flows through all beings. Some individuals like myself and Anakin can sense and manipulate this energy. The Jedi Order has studied and protected the Force for over 1,000 generations." The Brazilian ambassador was on her feet now, her scientific mind racing. That violates every law of physics we understand. Telekinesis doesn't exist. Energy swords that contain plasma without magnetic fields don't exist. You're describing technologies and abilities that shouldn't be possible. "They shouldn't be possible according to your current understanding," Anakin agreed. "But the galaxy is far stranger and more wondrous than your world has imagined. What you consider impossible is routine for us." He stepped forward, his expression earnest. "Look, I know this is overwhelming. 3 hours ago, you thought you were alone in the universe. Now we're standing here telling you there's a galaxy full of civilizations, and you're caught in the middle of a war you didn't know existed. But here's what you need to understand. We're the friendly first contact, the Separatists. They won't be this patient. They won't explain. They'll just show up with droid armies and offers you can't refuse. And when you try to refuse anyway, you'll discover what can't really means." The chamber descended into heated discussion. Delegates arguing in multiple languages, their voices rising as they grappled with information that challenged everything they'd ever known. The Secretary General called for order repeatedly, finally resorting to slamming her gavel. "Enough!" she shouted. "Master Kenobi, General Skywalker, you've given us much to consider, but we cannot make decisions of this magnitude in a single meeting. We need time to consult with our governments, to verify your claims, to understand the full scope of what you're telling us." "I understand," Obi-Wan said, "and I can provide verification. Our ship can transmit historical records, technological demonstrations, anything you need to confirm that we are who we claim to be. But I must emphasize, time is not a luxury we have in abundance. My transmission to the Jedi Council on Coruscant will reach them within hours. When it does, The Republic Senate will learn of your existence, and if the Republic knows, it's only a matter of time before the Separatists find out too," Anakin finished. "How much time?" the American ambassador demanded. "Days, perhaps," Obi-Wan estimated. "Weeks if we're fortunate. The Clone Wars have created a galaxy full of spies and intercepted communications. Secrets don't stay secret for long." As the session dissolved into smaller conversations and frantic communications with various governments, Anakin's comlink chirped urgently. He activated it discreetly, hearing Admiral Yularen's voice. "General Skywalker, we've detected multiple hyperspace signatures entering the system. Unknown configurations, not broadcasting Republic codes." Anakin's blood ran cold. "How many?" "3 vessels, sir. Separatist design based on preliminary scans. A Providence-class carrier and 2 Munificent-class frigates. They're moving toward Earth at combat speed. Sir, I think they intercepted General Kenobi's transmission to Coruscant." Around the chamber, similar alerts were sounding as Earth's various space agencies detected the massive energy signatures appearing in their system. Confusion turned to alarm on the delegates' faces as their primitive detection systems warned them that something had just arrived. Something far larger than the ship they'd been debating. The Secretary General turned to Obi-Wan, her face pale. "What's happening?" "The Separatists are here," Obi-Wan said grimly, already moving toward the exit with Anakin and Rex flanking him. "They must have detected the Resolute's presence through long-range scans or intercepted my transmission. Either way, the war has come to Earth." "What do we do?" the American ambassador asked, his voice tight with controlled panic. Obi-Wan paused at the chamber entrance, looking back at the assembled representatives of Earth's nations. "You prepare your people for what's about to happen, and you pray that the Republic arrives in force before the Separatists decide to demonstrate exactly what a modern fleet can do to a defenseless world." They ran through the UN corridors toward the exit, knowing they had minutes at best to return to the Resolute before the first shots were fired. Behind them, Earth's leaders scrambled to understand a situation that had spiraled far beyond their control in a matter of hours. The Clone Wars had found Earth, and 8 billion humans were about to learn that the universe was far more dangerous than their darkest nightmares had ever suggested. The holographic transmission from Count Dooku appeared simultaneously on every major broadcast network across Earth, cutting through television shows, internet streams, and emergency broadcast systems with ruthless efficiency that left Earth's cybersecurity experts stunned. Billions of humans stopped what they were doing to watch as the aristocratic figure materialized in blue light, his bearing regal, his voice smooth as poisoned honey. Anakin watched the broadcast from the Resolute's bridge, his hands clenched into fists as Dooku's face filled every screen. He'd fought the former Jedi Master multiple times, always survived, never quite won. Dooku was too skilled, too experienced, too damn confident in his superiority, and now he was about to talk Earth into joining the Separatists. "People of Earth," Dooku began, his cultured tones carrying across the globe in hundreds of languages simultaneously, a demonstration of technology that made even the most advanced Earth translation systems look primitive. "By now, you have been contacted by representatives of the Galactic Republic. No doubt they filled your heads with promises of protection and membership in their ancient government. I come to offer you something they will not: the truth." "He's good," Rex muttered, standing beside Anakin at the tactical display. "Knows exactly what to say to make us look bad. Because much of what he's saying is true," Obi-Wan admitted quietly, his expression troubled. "The Republic has failed the Outer Rim territories. That's why the Separatists gained so much support in the first place. On Earth, the hastily established emergency command centers across every major capital, world leaders watched Dooku's performance with varying degrees of fear and calculation. In the UN building, the Security Council had reconvened in continuous session, trying to process two impossible revelations in the span of hours. "The Republic is dying," Dooku continued, his image transmitted from the bridge of his Providence-class destroyer. "For 1,000 years it has grown corrupt, bureaucratic, unresponsive to the needs of its citizens. Systems on the Outer Rim, the forgotten territories where your world now finds itself categorized, are taxed without representation, exploited without compensation, abandoned without protection." He paused, letting that sink in. Earth's own history of colonialism and exploitation made the message resonate in ways Dooku had clearly calculated. The Jedi, once noble peacekeepers, have become generals in a war machine that serves only the interests of the core worlds, Dooku said, his voice carrying genuine passion that was impossible to entirely fake. "They claim to protect all sentient life, yet they command armies of cloned soldiers, living beings bred for war, programmed for loyalty, treated as property rather than people. Is this the civilization you wish to join?" Anakin's jaw tightened. Dooku was twisting the truth, but he was doing it skillfully. The clone program was ethically questionable. The Jedi had become generals in a war that betrayed their peacekeeping principles. The Republic was failing its outer territories, all true, all manipulated. The transmission shifted, showing images of Republic worlds devastated by the Clone Wars, cities in ruins, civilians fleeing from battle droids and clone troopers alike, orbital bombardments that left landscapes scarred and lifeless. "The Republic will drag you into their war," Dooku said, his voice dropping to something almost fatherly. "They will demand your young people serve in their armies. Your resources will feed their war machine. Your world will become just another battlefield in their struggle to maintain control over a galaxy that no longer wants their rule." In the UN Command Center, the American Secretary of Defense stood abruptly. "That's propaganda. He's cherry-picking the worst examples and ignoring..." "Ignoring what?" the Russian foreign minister interrupted. "The fact that everything he's showing us actually happened. That the Republic has brought war to hundreds of worlds. We may not understand galactic politics, but we understand what occupation and exploitation look like." The Secretary General raised her hand for silence, her eyes never leaving the screen where Dooku continued his masterful performance. "The Confederacy offers you a different path," Dooku said. "We are systems that chose freedom over tyranny, self-determination over subjugation. We do not demand you bow to distant bureaucrats. We do not require you to send your resources to feed a war you did not start. We offer you partnership as equals, technology shared freely, protection without strings attached, and most importantly, respect for your sovereignty." "He's lying," Anakin said flatly aboard the Resolute. "Everything he just promised is a lie. The Separatists strip mine worlds. Ye use populations as slave labor and treat organic beings like expendable resources." "Can you prove it?" Yularen asked quietly. "Can you show Earth evidence that would counter what Dooku is presenting? Because right now he's offering them everything they want to hear while we offered them honesty about our flaws. Guess which sells better?" Dooku's transmission shifted again, this time showing pristine Separatist worlds, beautiful cities, advanced technology, prosperous citizens living under what appeared to be enlightened governance. Anakin knew most of those images were from core Separatist worlds, the showcase systems that got the investment and protection. The images didn't show Ryloth's slave markets or Zagaria's labor camps or the dozens of worlds stripped bare to fuel Separatist industry. "Our droid armies mean your people never need to fight," Dooku continued. "Our automated systems mean your workers never need to labor in dangerous conditions. Our technology can solve your energy crisis, cure your diseases, end your hunger and poverty. All we ask is your friendship and the opportunity to show you that there is a better way than the Republic's failed model." The transmission zoomed in on Dooku's face, his expression one of sincere concern that Anakin knew was calculated down to the micro-expression. "I know the Republic has already made contact. I know General Kenobi is in your system, making promises he lacks the authority to keep. Ask yourselves, why did they arrive in secret? Why did they hide from you initially? Why do they only reveal themselves now that we have arrived to offer you an alternative?" It was a masterful rhetorical stroke, turning Republic caution into evidence of deception. Anakin felt the narrative slipping away, even as he watched the carefully constructed argument find fertile ground. "We are transmitting coordinates for a delegation to meet with me aboard my flagship," Dooku concluded. "Send your best minds, your wisest leaders. Let us show you what the Confederacy can offer. And then, in full knowledge of both options, make your choice freely." The transmission ended, leaving billions of humans staring at blank screens, trying to process what they'd just heard. Within minutes, Earth's communication networks exploded. Social media platforms became battlegrounds between those advocating for Republic alliance, those pushing for Separatist partnership, and those demanding Earth refuse both and maintain independence. News networks began endless analysis. Government hotlines were overwhelmed with calls from terrified citizens demanding answers. Anakin slammed his fist against the tactical console. "We need to respond. Show them what the Separatists really are before Dooku's lies take root." "With what evidence?" Obi-Wan asked. "Everything we could show them. Separatist atrocities, labor camps, strip-mined worlds. They'll dismiss as Republic propaganda. We're not trusted yet." Dooku positioned himself as the truth-teller, revealing Republic lies. "If we start throwing counter-accusations without ironclad proof, we look defensive and dishonest. So we just let him win. We let Earth make an informed choice," Obi-Wan corrected. "They're not children. They're a sophisticated civilization capable of critical thinking. Yes, Dooku's presentation was seductive, but these people have their own history of recognizing when offers sound too good to be true." Admiral Yularen cleared his throat. Sirs, the Secretary General is requesting communication. She wants to speak with both of you directly. The hologram activated, showing the UN command center where dozens of world leaders had gathered. The Secretary General's face carried the weight of someone who'd aged years in hours. General Kenobi, General Skywalker, she began formally. We've received Count Dooku's presentation. I need you to be completely honest with me. Is what he said about the Republic true? Are you corrupt? Are your clone soldiers slaves? Are we joining a dying government? Obi-Wan met her gaze directly. Yes, and to all of it, to varying degrees. The Republic is flawed, deeply, perhaps fatally. We have corruption, bureaucratic dysfunction, and a war that's bleeding us from 1,000 wounds. The clone program is ethically questionable at best. And yes, many systems believe the government they're fighting for has failed them. The blunt honesty seemed to surprise her. Then why should we join you instead of the Confederacy? Because the Confederacy is worse, Anakin said, his voice hard. Dooku showed you pristine showcase worlds. He didn't show you Ryloth, where separatists traffic in slaves. He didn't show you Zagaria, where prison camps work beings to death for corporate profit. He didn't show you the dozens of worlds they've strip-mined and abandoned once resources were exhausted. The Republic is a failing democracy. The Confederacy is a tyranny disguised as liberation. Can you prove any of that? The Chinese premier asked. We can transmit records, yes, Obi-Wan confirmed. But they'll take time to authenticate, and I suspect Dooku will have counter-evidence ready. This is an information war as much as a military one. What I can tell you is this. The Republic, for all its flaws, has legal protections, democratic institutions, and a commitment to sentient rights that the Confederacy doesn't share. We're not perfect, but we're trying to be better. They're not. The Secretary General conferred quietly with advisors, then spoke again. Count Dooku has offered a meeting aboard his flagship. We're considering sending a delegation. What's your assessment? Is it safe? No, Anakin said immediately. It's a trap. The Dooku's specialty is turning negotiations into tactical advantages. He'll use the meeting to gather intelligence, assess your decision-makers, and identify leverage points. If you send delegates, assume they're being manipulated from the moment they board his ship. But we can't refuse outright, the British Prime Minister interjected. That would look like we're afraid of hearing his offer, which strengthens his narrative that the Republic is controlling us. Obi-Wan nodded slowly. Then send a delegation, but make it small, expendable in terms of governmental continuity, and bring someone who understands separatist tactics. I'll volunteer to accompany your representatives. Dooku and I have history. I can help protect your people and ensure any agreements you consider are actually in your best interests. You're offering to walk into what you just called a trap, the Russian president observed. Why? Because someone needs to, Obi-Wan replied simply. And I'd rather it be me than watch Earth's leaders be manipulated by a Sith apprentice. The world leaders conferred for several tense minutes. Finally, the Secretary General spoke. We'll send a delegation, representatives from the Security Council permanent members, plus key regional powers. 20 delegates total. Can you ensure their safety? I can try, Obi-Wan said honestly, but understand, once you step aboard Dooku's ship, you're in his territory. I can advise, protect to some degree, but if he decides to take hostages or use force, there are limits to what even a Jedi can do." "Noted," she said. "Prepare your delegation. We depart in 12 hours." The transmission ended. Anakin rounded on Obi-Wan immediately. "This is a mistake. Dooku is up to something. He's always up to something." "Agreed," Obi-Wan said calmly. "But refusing to engage would make the Republic look weak and controlling. Earth needs to see both options, hear both arguments, and make their own choice. We have to trust that they're wise enough to see through Dooku's manipulation." "And if they're not?" Rex asked. Obi-Wan had no answer for that. 12 hours later, the delegation assembled aboard a Republic shuttle that had been carefully marked with Earth insignia to demonstrate their independence. 20 of Earth's most experienced diplomats and political leaders, all crammed into a vessel that felt impossibly advanced compared to their own space technology. Anakin had insisted on coming despite Obi-Wan's protests. "You're walking into a separatist warship with a delegation of defenseless civilians," Anakin had argued. "You need backup, someone who can fight if this goes wrong." Now they approached Dooku's Providence-class destroyer, the Invisible Hand, and Anakin felt the familiar tension of walking into combat without knowing when the shooting would start. The Earth delegates stared out viewports at the massive warship, their faces showing the first real understanding of what galactic-scale warfare meant. "Dear God," the American president breathed. "That's bigger than an aircraft carrier." "That's one of the smaller capital ships in the Separatist fleet," Rex informed him quietly. "Their Lucrehulk-class battleships are 3 kilometers in diameter." The shuttle docked in the Invisible Hand's hangar bay, where they were met by battle droids standing in precise formation, a show of force designed to intimidate. "You will follow us to the conference chamber," the lead droid announced, its vocabulator crackling. "No weapons, no recording devices. Any deviation will be met with immediate termination." Anakin felt the fear rippling through the Earth delegates, their first direct encounter with the droids that had devastated Republic worlds. He placed a subtle hand on the Secretary General's shoulder. "They're programmed to be threatening. Dooku won't harm you. You're too valuable as propaganda." "That's not as comforting as you might think," she replied. But she straightened her shoulders and led the delegation forward with admirable courage. The conference chamber was opulent. High ceilings, elegant furnishings, displays showing separatist worlds thriving under their governance. Everything designed to impress and seduce. Count Dooku stood at the far end, his presence commanding despite his age. His curved lightsaber hilt was visible at his belt, and his eyes swept across the delegation with the assessment of a predator evaluating prey. "Welcome, representatives of Earth," Dooku said warmly, gesturing to seats around an elegant table. "I am honored you accepted my invitation. Please sit. We have much to discuss." As the Earth delegates took their seats, Dooku's eyes found Anakin and Obi-Wan standing against the back wall. "Ah, Master Kenobi, a young Skywalker," Dooku said with a slight smile. "I wondered if the Republic would send you. How predictable. Tell me, Anakin, still struggling with your anger, still letting your emotions cloud your judgment? Still murdering innocent people for your Sith master?" Anakin shot back. "Or have you developed actual principles since we last met?" "Gentlemen," The Secretary General interrupted firmly. "We're here for information, not personal grievances. Count Dooku, you made Earth a very generous offer. We're here to understand what you actually want in return." Dooku's smile widened. "Direct. I appreciate that. Very well." For the next 3 hours, Count Dooku presented his case with the skill of a master politician. He showed technological demonstrations that made the Earth delegates gasp. Medical devices that could cure cancer, the energy systems that could power cities without pollution, agricultural technology that could end hunger. He presented treaties guaranteeing Earth's autonomy while providing separatist protection and technology transfer. And throughout it all, he peppered his presentation with carefully selected truths about Republic failures, systems abandoned to pirate raids, bureaucratic delays that cost lives, core world senators growing rich while outer rim planets starved. Every point was documented, every claim supported by evidence. The Earth delegates listened, asked probing questions, and struggled to find the flaws they knew must exist. Finally, the American president asked, "Count Dooku, with respect, no government offers this much for nothing. What do you actually want from Earth?" Dooku's expression became serious. "Honesty, I appreciate that. Mr. President, what we want is strategic position in this region of space, access to your world's unique resources, and, most importantly, validation. The Republic claims we are terrorists, rebels, criminals. But if an advanced civilization discovers your primitive world, and you freely choose to ally with us rather than them, it sends a powerful message to the galaxy." "So we're propaganda," the Secretary General said flatly. "You're a symbol," Dooku corrected, "of freedom, of choice, of the future we're building." Anakin couldn't stay silent any longer. "And when the Republic objects to a separatist presence here, when our fleets come to contest your control, Earth becomes a battlefield. You're not offering them partnership. You're making them a target." Dooku turned to face him fully. "Only if the Republic chooses war over diplomacy. Young Skywalker, we offer Earth peaceful alliance. If the Republic attacks a world that has freely chosen to work with us, it proves everything I've said about their true nature." It was a trap, a beautifully constructed political trap that made either Republic response look tyrannical. And from the expressions on the Earth delegates' faces, Anakin could see it was working. The journey back to Earth was silent, each delegate lost in their own thoughts about what they'd witnessed aboard the Invisible Hand. Anakin sat near the rear of the shuttle, watching their faces, reading the conflict written in every expression. Dooku had played them masterfully, offering exactly what they wanted while making the price seem reasonable. The Secretary General broke the silence first. "General Skywalker, General Kenobi, I need your honest assessment. Can the Republic match what Count Dooku just offered us?" Obi-Wan considered carefully before responding. "Technologically, yes. We can provide medical advances, clean energy, agricultural solutions. Everything the Separatists promised. Politically, that's more complicated. The Republic is a democracy, which means decisions require Senate approval, committee review, the bureaucratic process. Dooku can promise immediate action because he answers only to his corporate backers and his Sith master. We have to navigate a government of 1,000,000 worlds. So faster tyranny versus slower democracy, The Chinese premier observed, "That's not a reassuring choice." "It's an honest one," Anakin said. "Look, I'm not going to stand here and tell you the Republic is perfect. We've got corruption, inefficiency, and politicians more interested in power than people. But at least we have politicians you can vote out. The Separatists, once you're in, you're in. Try to leave and see what their droid armies do to worlds that change their minds." "Can you prove that?" the Russian foreign minister challenged. "Or is it more Republic propaganda?" Before Anakin could respond, Rex spoke up from the pilot's seat. "Sir, I'm detecting unusual activity in Earth's orbit. Multiple civilian communication satellites are being hacked. Someone's accessing their broadcast networks." "Separatist cyber warfare," Obi-Wan said immediately. "They're positioning to control Earth's information networks." "Anakin, can you—" "Already on it," Anakin interrupted, his hands flying across the shuttle's communications console. His mechanical aptitude and years of tinkering with technology gave him an intuitive understanding of systems that even formal training couldn't match. "I'm tracking the intrusion source. It's coming from one of Dooku's frigates. They're trying to establish backdoor access to every major broadcast platform on the planet." "Can you stop it?" the American president asked urgently. "I can slow it down," Anakin replied, his fingers dancing across holographic interfaces. "But Earth's cybersecurity is primitive compared to separatist slicing technology. They'll eventually break through unless—" He paused, an idea forming. "Unless we give them something better to do. Rex, I need you to broadcast a false vulnerability in the Resolute's communication systems. Make it look like we left a back door open during our transmission to Coruscant." "Sir, that would expose our actual systems to attack from separatist hackers who think they're exploiting a weakness," Anakin finished. "Except the weakness is actually a trap. Once they commit their slicing programs, I can trace them back, identify their infiltration patterns, and create countermeasures for Earth's networks based on how they operate." Obi-Wan smiled slightly. "You're using yourself as bait to protect Earth's information infrastructure. Reckless, improvised, and quite possibly brilliant. I approve." Within minutes, Anakin had deployed his trap. The separatist hacking attempts immediately shifted focus from Earth's satellites to the Resolute's apparently vulnerable systems. He watched the intrusion attempts flow in, analyzing patterns, identifying techniques, building countermeasures in real time. "Got you," Anakin muttered, his eyes tracking data streams. "Rex, transmit these security protocols to Earth's major network hubs. It won't make them invulnerable, but it'll buy them time to build proper defenses." The Secretary General watched this exchange with an expression that mixed gratitude and calculation. "Well, you just protected our communication infrastructure from an attack we didn't even know was happening. Why?" "Because it was the right thing to do," Anakin said simply. "And because if the Separatists control your information networks, they control your narrative. Dooku wants to flood your media with propaganda, isolate you from alternative viewpoints, and manufacture consent for Separatist alliance. We're not going to let that happen." The shuttle descended through Earth's atmosphere, heading toward the UN headquarters, where the Security Council would reconvene to debate their impossible choice. As New York City emerged below them, Anakin noticed something that made his stomach drop. Massive crowds had gathered around the UN building. Thousands of people holding signs, chanting slogans. Their message clear even from altitude: Earth first, no galactic wars. They're protesting, the British Prime Minister observed, against both of you, against any off-world alliance. Can you blame them? The African Union representative said quietly. We've barely had time to process that we're not alone in the universe, and now we're being told we have to pick sides in someone else's war. Of course, people are terrified. The shuttle landed on a secure pad away from the protesters, but their chants were still audible. Our world, our choice. No Republic occupation, separatist lies. Earth's leadership was fracturing before the Republic, and separatists had even finished making their cases. Inside the UN command center, organized chaos reigned. Intelligence analysts pored over every scrap of data about both factions. The military experts assessed defensive capabilities against galactic-scale weapons. Scientists debated the physics of hyperspace travel and force abilities. And at the center of it all, world leaders argued about Earth's future with the passion of people who knew they were deciding their species' fate. We cannot ally with the Republic, the Russian president was saying as Anakin and Obi-Wan entered. They've admitted to corruption and failure. Why would we tie our future to a sinking ship? Because the alternative is allying with liars, the American president countered. Count Dooku promised us everything with no strings attached. That's not how politics works, galactic or otherwise. There are always strings. Then we refuse both, the Indian Prime Minister suggested. Declare neutrality, build our own defenses. We have 8 billion people. Surely that gives us some negotiating power. Against civilizations that have billions of trillions. The Chinese premier shook his head. I've been reviewing the data General Skywalker provided. Core Republic worlds like Coruscant have over 1 trillion inhabitants. Alderaan has 20 billion. Even modest Outer Rim systems have populations that dwarf ours. We're not a major power by their standards. We're barely a footnote. That revelation seemed to hit the room like a physical blow. Anakin watched the understanding spread across faces. Earth wasn't special by galactic standards. They were one more populated world among millions, valuable only for their strategic location and their isolation from existing power structures. Which makes us vulnerable, the Secretary General said quietly. We're too small to matter militarily, too isolated to have natural allies, too primitive to defend ourselves. We need protection from someone. The question is who? There's a third option, a new voice said. Everyone turned. A young woman had entered, Dr. Sarah Chen, according to her credentials, though Anakin immediately noticed something different about her. Where other Earth humans felt muted in the Force, she registered differently. Not Force-sensitive exactly, but not completely disconnected either. It was subtle, barely noticeable, but it was there. Dr. Chen, the Secretary General acknowledged. You're from MIT's Astrophysics Department. What third option? We make ourselves too valuable to conquer and too dangerous to ignore, Chen said, pulling up a presentation on the central display. I've been analyzing the technology demonstrations from both sides. Their equipment is advanced, yes, but it's also stagnant. They've been using essentially the same hyperdrive technology for thousands of years. The same weapons, the same ship designs. Galactic civilization is technologically stable. Meaning, the French president asked. Meaning they're not innovating, Chen continued. They have their technology and they maintain it, but they're not developing fundamentally new approaches. Earth is different. We've gone from horse-drawn carriages to spaceflight in a century, from basic chemistry to quantum physics in decades. Our technology develops exponentially because we're still learning, still experimenting, still willing to try crazy ideas that might not work. Anakin felt Obi-Wan tense beside him. They were both thinking the same thing. This was dangerous territory. You're suggesting we weaponize that innovation, the Japanese Prime Minister said slowly. Use our technological development speed as leverage. I'm suggesting we become partners rather than subjects, Chen corrected. We offer both the Republic and Separatists something they can't get elsewhere. Fresh perspectives, unconventional solutions, a willingness to question assumptions they've held for millennia. We share that innovation in exchange for protection and technology transfer, but we maintain independence. We become Switzerland on a galactic scale. Switzerland had the Alps and banking to protect it. The Russian foreign minister pointed out. What do we have? This, Chen said, pulling up another display. It showed Earth's military forces, thousands of nuclear weapons, biological research facilities, chemical weapons stockpiles, and detailed documentation of Earth's most creative approaches to killing other humans. The galaxy might be more advanced, but they've also become civilized. They follow rules of warfare, have treaties about acceptable weapons, maintain ethical standards that limit what they'll deploy. We don't have those limitations yet. We're still at the stage where we'll try anything if we think it might work. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. You're suggesting we threaten them, the British Prime Minister said slowly. Make ourselves too dangerous to conquer. I'm suggesting we make them uncertain, Chen replied. Right now, they think they understand us. Primitive humans with crude technology. What if we demonstrate that primitive doesn't mean predictable? That attacking Earth might win the battle but cost more than they're willing to pay. Anakin stepped forward. Dr. Chen, I need to point something out. The galaxy has conventions against certain weapons for good reasons. Biological warfare, planet-killing devices, indiscriminate area effect weapons. We've seen what happens when civilizations deploy these without restraint. The death toll is catastrophic, which is exactly why they'd work as deterrents, Chen countered. If Earth demonstrates we're willing to use weapons that the civilized galaxy considers too horrific to deploy, we become a threat nobody wants to provoke. Yes, it's dangerous. Yes, it's morally questionable. But so is asking 8 billion people to roll over and accept conquest because we're too weak to defend ourselves. She's right, the Secretary General said quietly. Not about deploying such weapons, but about the strategic logic. We need leverage, and our unpredictability might be the only leverage we have. This is madness, Obi-Wan protested. You're talking about an arms race that could devastate your world before it even protects you. The Republic can offer us subjugation with a friendly face, the Chinese premier interrupted. We've heard your promises, General Kenobi. We've heard Count Dooku's promises. Both of you offer us protection in exchange for loyalty. Dr. Chen is suggesting we protect ourselves." Before the debate could continue, alarms blared throughout the command center. Rex burst through the door, his expression urgent. "Sirs, we have a situation. A civilian vessel just broadcast a message that's spreading across every social media platform on Earth. Someone claiming to be from a place called Los Angeles says they recognize General Skywalker from a movie about space wizards. Sir." Rex looked genuinely baffled. "They're saying Star Wars exists here, as fiction, as entertainment, and the images match you exactly." The command center erupted into chaos. Anakin felt his blood run cold. "That's impossible." "Show me," Obi-Wan demanded. Rex pulled up the viral video on the central display. A young man, early 20s, holding up what appeared to be a data storage device. "I'm telling you, this is insane. That guy from the UN, the one claiming to be a Jedi? That's Hayden Christensen, or someone who looks exactly like him. And the other one? That's Ewan McGregor. They're actors from the Star Wars prequels. Either this is the most elaborate cosplay prank in history, or..." The young man's voice dropped to something between awe and terror. "Or George Lucas somehow knew about real events in another galaxy and made movies about them." The video showed comparison images. Anakin's face next to what the video labeled as Hayden Christensen. Obi-Wan beside Ewan McGregor. The resemblance was impossible to deny. "This isn't possible," Anakin repeated. "How could this planet have entertainment about events happening in our galaxy? That would require some kind of precognition or information transfer across impossible distances, or George Lucas is force-sensitive and didn't know it," Obi-Wan finished, his voice carrying the shock they all felt. "The visions in the Force can transcend space and time. If a Force-sensitive individual on Earth had visions of galactic events and interpreted them as creative inspiration rather than prophecy, then Earth knows our future," Anakin said. "They know about the Clone Wars, about the Jedi, maybe even about..." He stopped, but everyone in the room had the same thought. If Earth had movies about Star Wars, they might know how the Clone Wars ended. They might know things about the Republic's future that even the Jedi Council didn't know. The Secretary General's expression hardened. "Find George Lucas, bring him here, and nobody discusses this outside this room until we understand what we're dealing with." As security personnel rushed to locate the filmmaker, Anakin met Obi-Wan's eyes across the command center. If Earth knew the future, if they had information about how the Clone Wars would develop, then everything they'd planned was suddenly far more complicated, because knowledge of the future could change it. And neither of them knew if that change would save the galaxy or doom it. George Lucas arrived at the UN Command Center, flanked by Secret Service agents who looked distinctly uncomfortable, escorting a civilian filmmaker into what had become the most secure location on the planet. The director was in his early 60s, gray-haired, wearing casual clothing that suggested he'd been pulled from his California home with minimal explanation. He stopped dead when he saw Anakin and Obi-Wan. "No," Lucas breathed, his face draining of color. "No, this isn't, you can't be..." "Real," Obi-Wan finished gently. "I'm afraid we are, Mr. Lucas, and we need to understand how you know about us." Lucas collapsed into a chair, his hands shaking. "I need a drink, or 5, or..." He looked up at the Secretary General. You brought me here because of the viral video, because someone recognized them from my movies, and you want to know if I somehow knew they were real. Did you? Anakin asked, his voice harder than Obi-Wan would have preferred. Did you know about the Republic, about the Clone Wars, about the Jedi? No, Lucas said immediately. I mean, I had dreams. Vivid dreams starting when I was in college in the early 70s. Images of space battles, laser swords, a young man with a destiny. I thought they were just my imagination, the kind of creative inspiration that artists get. So I made them into movies. 6 films about a galaxy far, far away. He looked directly at Anakin. A galaxy where you turn to the dark side, betray the Jedi, and help an emperor take over the Republic. The silence that followed was absolute. Explain, Obi-Wan said, his voice carrying a warning that made even the armed guards tense. Explain exactly what your movies show about our future. Lucas's hands were still shaking. The Clone Wars end badly. There's this Order 66, a command that makes all the clone troopers turn on their Jedi generals simultaneously. Most of the Jedi are killed. The Republic becomes the Empire. And Anakin, he looked at the young Jedi with something like pity. You become Darth Vader, the Emperor's enforcer. You hunt down the surviving Jedi and rule through fear for decades. Anakin laughed, but there was no humor in it. That's insane. I would never betray the Order, never help create a dictatorship. Your visions are fantasy, nothing more. Are they? Lucas challenged. Then why do I know about your mother being a slave on Tatooine? Why do I know about your marriage to Senator Amidala? Yes, I know about that. Even though you've kept it secret from the Jedi Council. Why do I know that you're terrified of losing her, just like you lost your mother? Anakin's hand moved toward his lightsaber before Obi-Wan's restraining grip stopped him. You know nothing about me. I know you're angry right now, Lucas said quietly. I know you struggle with attachment, with fear of loss, with the darkness inside you that the Jedi training never quite addressed. And I know, his voice softened, I know that in my visions, your fear of losing Padme is what Palpatine uses to turn you. Palpatine, Obi-Wan repeated sharply. The Supreme Chancellor. The Sith Lord, Lucas confirmed. Darth Sidious. He's been manipulating both sides of the Clone Wars for years, grooming Anakin since childhood, waiting for the moment when desperation makes you vulnerable enough to turn. That's what my movies show. The fall of the Republic orchestrated by the Sith Lord hiding in plain sight. The room erupted into controlled chaos. Military analysts pulled up files on Palpatine. Intelligence officers began cross-referencing Lucas's claims against known data. And the world leaders who'd been debating whether to trust the Republic now had information suggesting the Republic was already doomed. This is insane, the American president said. You're telling us that a filmmaker's dreams predict the future of a galactic government thousands of light years away. The Force works in mysterious ways, Obi-Wan said slowly, his mind racing through implications. Visions across space and time aren't impossible for Force sensitives. But Mr. Lucas, you say you're not Force sensitive? I have no idea, Lucas admitted. Until 3 hours ago, I thought the Force was something I invented for my movies. Now you're telling me it's real, I might be connected to it. And my creative process has been prophetic visions about your actual lives. I don't know how to process that. Process it later, the Secretary General said firmly. "Right now, we need details. If Chancellor Palpatine is secretly a Sith Lord, orchestrating the Clone Wars, the Jedi need to know. General Kenobi, can you verify this claim?" Obi-Wan's expression was troubled. "The Council has suspected for years that the Sith are involved in the Clone Wars. We know Count Dooku is Darth Tyrannus, apprentice to a master we haven't identified. If Palpatine is that master," he paused, the implications staggering. "It would explain everything. Why the war never seems to end. Why both sides make strategic mistakes that prolong the conflict. Why emergency powers keep accumulating in the Chancellor's office." "You suspected this and didn't tell Earth?" the Russian foreign minister demanded. "We suspected Sith involvement in the war," Obi-Wan corrected. "We didn't know the Sith Master's identity, and we certainly didn't know about Order 66 or any plan to exterminate the Jedi. If Mr. Lucas's visions are accurate, we've been walking into a trap for 3 years." Anakin had been silent, processing Lucas's revelation about his future. When he finally spoke, his voice was cold. "You said I turn because of Padme, because I'm afraid of losing her. That's your vision. You have nightmares about her dying in childbirth," Lucas said. "Palpatine promises you the power to prevent her death if you turn to the dark side. You believe him. You do terrible things. Kill younglings, betray Obi-Wan, help exterminate the Jedi, all to gain power to save her. And in the end," Lucas's voice broke slightly, "she dies anyway. You lose everything you betrayed everyone to protect." "That's not going to happen," Anakin said flatly. "I know what I am. I know my choices. Your visions might show one possible future, but the future isn't fixed. I'll never let myself become what you're describing." "People in my movies say that too," Lucas observed. "Doesn't work out well for them." Before Anakin could respond, Rex entered urgently. "Sirs, we have incoming transmission from the Resolute. Admiral Yularen says it's urgent. Eyes only for you both." They moved to a secure communication station. Yularen's hologram appeared, his expression grave. "Generals, I'm detecting new hyperspace signatures entering the system. Multiple vessels. Republic signatures this time, but it's a full battle group. Admiral Tarkin's task force and sirs." He paused. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies that Earth is under Republic protection, and any Separatist vessels must withdraw or face military action." "Tarkin," Obi-Wan muttered. "Of course the Council would send him. He's efficient, ruthless, and completely lacking in diplomatic subtlety." "Who's Admiral Tarkin?" the Secretary General asked, having followed them to the communication station. "An officer who believes overwhelming force is the answer to every problem," Obi-Wan explained. "He'll see Earth as a strategic asset to be secured for the Republic, not a sovereign world to be respected. If he decides you need protection, he will provide it whether you want it or not." "And let me guess," the Chinese premier said, "Count Dooku will use Republic military action as proof that we need separatist protection from Republic imperialism." "Exactly," Anakin confirmed. "We're about to watch Earth become a battleground, whether you choose a side or not." On the view screen, Admiral Tarkin's image replaced Yularen's. The man was lean, severe, with a face that suggested he'd never smiled in his life. "Attention Separatist vessels. By order of the Galactic Senate and Supreme Chancellor Palpatine, the planet designated Earth is hereby under Republic protection. You have 2 standard hours to withdraw from this system or face immediate military action. This is your only warning." Count Dooku's response came moments later, with his image appearing on split screen. "Admiral Tarkin, how predictable. The Republic arrives not to offer friendship, but to threaten violence. Earth, observe carefully. This is how your supposed protectors behave, demanding compliance rather than requesting alliance. The Separatists have no legitimate claim to this system," Tarkin replied coldly. "Your presence here is an act of aggression. Withdraw or be destroyed." "We were invited," Dooku countered smoothly. "Earth's representatives met with us voluntarily. We made no threats, issued no ultimatums. Unlike the Republic, we respect their sovereignty and their right to choose their own future. Their sovereignty is irrelevant when it conflicts with Republic security interests," Tarkin stated. "This system's strategic value cannot be left in hostile hands." The Earth delegates looked at each other with mounting horror. The Secretary General turned to Obi-Wan. "Are you hearing what he's saying? That our sovereignty is irrelevant?" "Tarkin doesn't represent all of Republic policy," Obi-Wan said quickly. "He's a military officer focused on tactical outcomes, not diplomatic relationships. The Council would never—" "The Council sent him," Anakin interrupted. "They chose Tarkin specifically because they knew he'd secure Earth regardless of what Earth wanted. Master, we need to admit what's happening here. The Republic is about to conquer this planet for their own protection, just like we've done to dozens of other worlds." "That's not—" Obi-Wan stopped because he couldn't finish the sentence honestly. The Republic had occupied worlds in the name of protection, had forced alliances on reluctant systems, had prioritized strategic interests over self-determination, and Earth was watching it happen in real time. "We refuse," the Secretary General said, her voice carrying across the command center. "We refuse Republic protection. We refuse Separatist alliance. Earth will remain neutral in your war." Tarkin's expression didn't change. "I'm afraid that's not an option. Supreme Chancellor Palpatine has designated this system as strategically vital to Republic security. You will accept our protection, or you will be classified as Separatist sympathizers and treated accordingly." "You're threatening to attack us," the American president said slowly. "Because we won't join you voluntarily. How exactly does that make you different from an invasion force?" "It makes us efficient," Tarkin replied. "The Republic has maintained peace for 1,000 years, not through endless negotiation, but through strategic application of force. You will cooperate because the alternative is worse for everyone." "This is wrong," Obi-Wan said, stepping toward the holographic display. "Admiral Tarkin, stand down. Earth has the right to—" "General Kenobi," Tarkin interrupted coldly. "You've been in this system for days, conducting unauthorized first contact operations. Your judgment regarding Earth is clearly compromised. I'm assuming tactical command of this situation under Senate authorization. You will confine yourself to your vessel until this matter is resolved." "You're relieving me of command." Obi-Wan's voice carried dangerous calm. On what authority?" "On the authority granted to me by Supreme Chancellor Palpatine himself," Tarkin replied. "Who, as you'll recall, holds emergency powers that supersede normal military protocol. Now step aside and let professionals handle this situation." Anakin's hands clenched into fists. "If you attack Earth, you'll prove everything Dooku said about us is true." "I'm not attacking anyone," Tarkin replied. "I'm securing a strategic asset. There's a difference." The transmission ended. In the sudden silence, Dr. Chen spoke up from where she'd been watching the entire exchange. "So our choices are join the Republic and lose our sovereignty, join the Separatists and lose our sovereignty, or declare neutrality and get conquered by whoever decides we're too strategically valuable to ignore." "That's not," Obi-Wan started. "That's exactly right," the Russian president interrupted. "And now we understand why George Lucas's movies show the Republic falling, because it already has. The principles are gone. Only the power structure remains." Lucas had been silent through the exchange, but now he spoke quietly. "In my movies there's a rebellion. People who refuse to accept the Empire, who fight for freedom even when the odds are impossible. It starts with small groups making the choice to resist rather than submit. And eventually," he looked at the assembled world leaders, "eventually they win. It takes decades, costs millions of lives, but they win because they refuse to give up." "You're suggesting we fight," the Secretary General said. 8 billion humans with primitive weapons against 2 galactic superpowers." "I'm suggesting you choose who you are," Lucas replied, "because right now both sides are trying to make that choice for you. And in my experience, both as a filmmaker and apparently as an unwitting prophet, the only way to maintain your identity is to be willing to defend it." Anakin watched the faces around the command center. Fear, determination, anger, and something else. A dawning realization that they'd been thrust into a situation with no good options. Only varying degrees of terrible. "We have 2 hours before Tarkin takes action," Obi-Wan said. 2 hours to find a third path that doesn't end with Earth occupied or destroyed. We need to think fast." "Or fight fast," Rex added grimly, "because if Tarkin decides to force this issue, Earth's about to get a demonstration of what Republic military power looks like, and it won't be gentle." The Secretary General looked at Obi-Wan, at Anakin, at the holographic displays showing Republic and Separatist fleets positioning for conflict in Earth's orbit. "Then we have 2 hours to teach both sides a lesson they'll never forget," she said. "That humanity doesn't submit easily, and that primitive doesn't mean helpless." She turned to her military advisors. "Someone find me every creative weapons designer, every unconventional warfare specialist, and every person who's ever thought about how to fight an enemy with vastly superior technology. We're about to show the galaxy why humans survived this long. And may whatever gods exist have mercy on us all," the American president added quietly, because Earth had just chosen the most dangerous path possible: resistance. The Situation Room beneath the UN building had become a war room in the span of hours. Military strategists from every major nation crowded around holographic displays, a mix of Earth's primitive projections and Republic technology that Anakin had reluctantly provided. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. They were using the enemy's tools to plan resistance against that same enemy. General Marcus Webb, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, stood at the center of the chaos, coordinating responses from military commands across the planet. He was a career soldier who'd spent 40 years studying warfare, and the past 6 hours had obsoleted every lesson he'd ever learned. "Let me make sure I understand our situation," Webb said, his voice carrying the controlled calm of someone who'd accepted they were probably about to die. "Mo, we have 2 fleets in our orbit, Republican and Separatist, both with weapons that can glass our planet from space. We have 2 hours before one or both decide to force compliance, and our best weapons are ballistic missiles that were designed to fight each other, not starships." He looked at Anakin. "General Skywalker, tell me I'm missing something." "You're missing that both fleets are constrained by politics," Anakin replied. "Tarkin wants to secure Earth for the Republic, but he can't just annihilate you. That would prove everything Dooku's been saying about Republic imperialism. Dooku wants to recruit you, so destroying you defeats his purpose. Neither side can afford to turn Earth into a crater because Earth has something they both want." "Which is what?" the Chinese general asked. 8 billion potential allies, Obi-Wan said, "and the strategic position of this system in unexplored space. Earth isn't valuable because of your military power. It's valuable because of your political symbolism. Whichever side you choose validates their ideology and undermines their enemies. That gives you leverage." "Leverage they're about to take away by force," Webb countered. "Tarkin gave us an ultimatum. That's not negotiation. That's a countdown to occupation." Dr. Chen had been working at a terminal, her fingers flying across a keyboard while listening to the military debate. Now she looked up. "What if we make occupation too expensive? Not through military resistance. We'd lose that fight in minutes. But through making Earth politically radioactive. If joining us damages the winner more than it helps them, then neither side can afford to force the issue." "Explain," the Secretary General ordered. "Both sides are fighting for legitimacy as much as territory," Chen continued, pulling up analysis of Separatist and Republic propaganda. "The Republic claims to represent freedom and democracy. The Separatists claim to oppose tyranny and corruption. Both narratives require them to appear morally superior to their enemy. What if we broadcast everything, every threat Tarkin makes, every manipulation Dooku attempts, to the entire galaxy? Make Earth's conquest or coercion so publicly visible that it becomes a propaganda disaster for whoever does it." "How?" Webb asked. "We can barely communicate with our own satellites. How do we broadcast to a galaxy of 1,000,000 worlds?" Anakin smiled grimly. "I can help with that. The Resolute has Republic communication arrays that can punch through to every major HoloNet relay in the core worlds. If we broadcast on open frequencies, millions of Republic citizens will see exactly how Tarkin is handling first contact. And trust me, there are plenty of senators and citizens who are already questioning the emergency powers the Chancellor keeps accumulating. Watching an admiral threaten to attack a peaceful world for refusing protection, that'll cause problems." "And the Separatist side?" the Russian foreign minister asked. "Count Dooku's fleet has similar communication capabilities," Obi-Wan said. "If he's smart, and he is, he's already recording everything to use as propaganda. But we can turn that against him too. Broadcast his manipulation attempts, his empty promises, his history of stripping worlds bare once they're under Separatist control. Make him defend his record in front of the galaxy." "You're suggesting we weaponize transparency," the Secretary General said slowly. Force both sides to act like they're being watched by billions of voters. Because they will be, Chen confirmed. General Skywalker, if you help us broadcast, how many people in the Republic could potentially see our situation? Trillions, Anakin replied. The HoloNet reaches every core world, most of the mid-rim, and significant portions of the outer rim. If we time the broadcast during peak viewing hours across multiple time zones, he calculated quickly, we could reach half the Republic's population within hours. And cause the biggest political crisis since the war started, Obi-Wan added. Anakin, the Council won't approve of this. Tarkin won't approve. You'll be directly undermining Republic military operations. Good, Anakin said flatly, because what Tarkin's doing is wrong, and I'm tired of pretending that following orders excuses bad actions. The Republic is supposed to be better than this. If broadcasting the truth causes a political crisis, then maybe the Republic needs that crisis. Rex stepped forward, his expression troubled. Sir, if you do this, you'll be in direct violation of military protocol. Court-martial at minimum. Possibly treason charges depending on how the Senate interprets it. I know, Anakin said, but I'm not going to stand by and watch the Republic conquer Earth just because it's convenient. That's not why I became a Jedi. That's not what the Order is supposed to stand for. Obi-Wan studied his former apprentice for a long moment, seeing the determination there, the willingness to sacrifice career and reputation for principle. It was everything the Jedi taught about putting service above self, and everything the Jedi Council would condemn as reckless insubordination. Then I'm with you, Obi-Wan decided. If we're going to be court-martialed, we might as well be court-martialed together. It wouldn't be the first time you've gotten me into trouble, Anakin, though this might be the most spectacular example yet. The Secretary General looked between the two Jedi, the clone captain, and the assembled Earth leadership. You're all willing to sacrifice your positions, possibly your freedom, to help a world you met 3 days ago? We're willing to do what's right, Anakin replied simply. Sometimes that's the same as following orders. Sometimes it isn't. This is one of those times it isn't. Then we move fast, Webb said, his military mind already planning the operation. Dr. Chen, work with General Skywalker to set up the broadcast infrastructure. I want cameras positioned to capture everything. Tarkin's threats, Dooku's manipulation, Earth's response, all of it. Make this the most transparent first contact in galactic history. What about our military response? The French general asked. Even with political warfare, Tarkin can still attack. We need defensive preparations. Agreed, Webb said. Oh, which brings me to something I've been reluctant to discuss. He pulled up classified files that made several delegates shift uncomfortably. We have weapons we've never used because they're too indiscriminate, too horrific, too likely to cause more harm than tactical benefit. Biological agents that were developed and then banned. Chemical weapons that violate every international treaty. Nuclear devices specifically designed for space deployment that we abandoned because they'd contribute to orbital debris problems. You're talking about war crimes, the Brazilian ambassador said quietly. I'm talking about deterrence, Webb corrected. We can't win a conventional fight against starships, but we can make the cost of attacking us high enough that neither side wants to pay it. If we deploy these weapons, even just threaten to deploy them, we become unpredictable, dangerous, the kind of enemy that might not win but will definitely hurt you on the way down. That's insane, Obi-Wan protested. You're suggesting using weapons your own people consider immoral as a threat. I'm suggesting that civilized warfare is a luxury for civilizations with roughly equal power, Webb replied. You have energy shields faster than light travel and weapons that can destroy planets. We have ingenuity, desperation, and a willingness to do things you find unthinkable. If that makes us dangerous, good. That's the point. Anakin felt sick. This was what Earth's isolation had created, a civilization that had spent centuries perfecting ways to kill itself, now preparing to use those same innovations against external threats. They weren't wrong about the strategic logic. They were just approaching warfare with a brutality that the Republic had spent millennia trying to move beyond. There's another factor, George Lucas said from where he'd been quietly observing. Everyone turned to look at him. In my movies, the Empire eventually builds a weapon called the Death Star, a space station capable of destroying entire planets. It takes decades to construct, costs trillions of credits, and requires resources from thousands of worlds. But Tarkin, Admiral Tarkin specifically, is one of its primary architects. The room went silent. You're saying the man threatening us would eventually build a planet killer? The Secretary General asked. In my visions, yes, Lucas confirmed. He believes in ruling through fear, in having weapons so powerful that no one dares resist. Earth refusing his protection contradicts everything he believes about how power should work. He won't just occupy you, he'll make an example of you to show other worlds what happens when they refuse Republic authority. Can you verify this? Webb asked Obi-Wan. Is Tarkin capable of that kind of escalation? Obi-Wan's expression was troubled. I don't know about super weapons, but Tarkin's philosophy is well documented. He published papers on governance through fear while he was still a Republic officer. The Jedi Council has raised concerns about his methods multiple times, but the Chancellor keeps promoting him. If Lucas's visions are accurate, he paused, then yes, Tarkin would absolutely authorize the destruction of Earth as a lesson to other worlds. Then we have no choice, the Secretary General said. We make our stand now, publicly enforce both sides to back down through political pressure and the threat of unacceptable costs. General Webb, prepare our deterrence options. Dr. Chen set up the broadcast. Generals Kenobi and Skywalker, help us tell the galaxy what's really happening here. She stood, her presence commanding despite the exhaustion evident in her face. And someone get me every writer, every communications expert, every person who knows how to craft a message that resonates across cultures. We're about to address a galactic audience, and we need to make them understand that Earth isn't a prize to be won. It's a people demanding the right to exist on our own terms. 90 minutes later, the broadcast went live. Every major holonet relay in Republic space suddenly carried an unprecedented signal, primitive by galactic standards but functional enough to be received by billions of terminals. On Coruscant, in the Senate chambers, in military command centers, in homes across 1,000 worlds, the same image appeared. Earth's Secretary General standing before cameras, flanked by world leaders representing every major nation, with Anakin and Obi-Wan visible in the background. "Citizens of the Galactic Republic," she began, her voice steady despite the weight of speaking to trillions. "My name is Maria Santos, Secretary General of the United Nations of Earth. 3 days ago, we learned we are not alone in the universe. Today, we face a choice between freedom and survival, and we refuse to believe we must sacrifice one to preserve the other." The broadcast cut to footage of Tarkin's ultimatum, his exact words about Earth's sovereignty being irrelevant when it conflicted with Republic interests. Then to Dooku's carefully constructed promises, contrasted with Republic intelligence footage of separatist labor camps and strip-mined worlds. "Both sides offer us protection," Santos continued, "but protection that comes at the cost of self-determination is not protection, it's subjugation. We are 8 billion humans who spent our entire existence believing we were alone. We developed language, art, science, philosophy, and yes, war. We've made terrible mistakes, committed atrocities we deeply regret, but we've done it all as free beings making our own choices." The broadcast shifted to show Earth's cities, its diversity, its achievements, and its flaws, presented honestly without propaganda polish. "We do not claim to be perfect," Santos said. "We do not claim to have solutions to the galaxy's problems, but we claim the right that every sentient species deserves to determine our own future, to make our own mistakes, to learn from them and grow. And if that makes us inconvenient for your strategic calculations, then we apologize for the inconvenience. But we will not surrender our humanity to spare you the difficulty of respecting it." The camera pulled back to show Anakin stepping forward. "I'm General Anakin Skywalker of the Jedi Order," he said, his voice carrying conviction that resonated across the broadcast. "I've fought in the Clone Wars for 3 years. I've seen worlds burn, populations displaced, freedom sacrificed in the name of security, and I'm standing here to tell the Republic this is wrong. Admiral Tarkin is wrong. Threatening to occupy Earth because they won't voluntarily submit is exactly the kind of imperialism the Separatists accuse us of. If the Republic forces this issue, we prove that our principles mean nothing when they're inconvenient." Obi-Wan spoke next. "The Jedi Order exists to protect life and preserve peace. Sometimes that means fighting wars, but it never means conquering peaceful populations because their independence complicates our strategic planning. Earth deserves the same respect we show any sovereign world. If we deny them that, we've lost our moral authority to govern in the first place." The broadcast cut back to Santos. "We know you're watching, Admiral Tarkin. Count Dooku, citizens of the Republic and Separatist territories. You're all witnesses now. Whatever happens next, the galaxy will see it. Earth will not submit quietly. Earth will not go gently into occupation. If you force this issue, you'll discover that primitive doesn't mean harmless. It means unpredictable, dangerous, willing to do things your civilized rules of warfare don't account for." She paused, letting that threat hang in the air. "Or," Santos continued, her voice softening, "you could respect our choice. Give us time to understand this galaxy we've just discovered. Let us make an informed decision about our future rather than forcing one upon us. Show us that the Republic's ideals and separatist promises are more than empty words. We're willing to listen, but we will not be conquered, not by you, not by anyone." The broadcast ended with a final image. Earth seen from space, beautiful and fragile and inhabited by 8 billion beings demanding their right to exist free. Within minutes, the political explosion was exactly what they'd hoped for. On Coruscant, the Senate erupted into emergency session. Senators demanded explanations for Tarkin's threats. Opposition parties called for investigations into military overreach. Core world populations protested in the streets, their signs reading Earth's right to choose and no conquest without consent. In Separatist space, similar chaos. Dooku's carefully constructed narrative of fighting Republic tyranny had been undermined by broadcasts showing Separatist manipulation and exploitation. Neutral systems that had been considering Separatist alliance suddenly had doubts. Corporate backers demanded Dooku justify the bad publicity. Aboard the Resolute, Admiral Yularen's face appeared on Anakin's comlink, his expression a mix of admiration and horror. "Sir, you just started a political firestorm. Half the Senate is calling for your arrest. The other half is calling you a hero. And Admiral Tarkin." He paused. "Admiral Tarkin looks like he wants to personally throw you in a cell and lose the key." "Let him try," Anakin replied. "He can court-martial me after he explains to the Senate why he threatened to attack a peaceful world on live broadcast to trillions of citizens." In the Situation Room, Earth's leaders watched the galactic response with something approaching hope. They hadn't won, but they'd changed the calculation, made conquest politically expensive, turned themselves from a prize to be easily claimed into a problem that required careful consideration. "Will it be enough?" the Secretary General asked quietly. "I don't know," Obi-Wan admitted. "But it's more leverage than you had an hour ago. Now we wait and see if the Republic's democracy and the Separatists' propaganda machine are strong enough to constrain their military options." The countdown to Tarkin's deadline continued, but now the entire galaxy was watching to see what happened next. Admiral Tarkin's face on the holographic display was a study in controlled fury. Behind him, the bridge of his Star Destroyer hummed with activity as officers processed the political disaster that Earth's broadcast had created. His voice, when he spoke, carried the cold precision of a man who'd just watched his strategic certainty collapse into chaos. "General Skywalker, General Kenobi." Each word was carefully enunciated, stripped of emotion through sheer force of will. "You have committed treason against the Republic. You have undermined military operations, violated the chain of command, and broadcast classified strategic communications to the entire galaxy. I am hereby placing you both under arrest. You will surrender yourselves to Republic custody immediately." "No," Anakin said simply. Tarkin's eye twitched, the first visible crack in his composure. "That was not a request, General. That was a direct order from your superior officer." "You're not my superior officer," Anakin countered. "I'm a Jedi general answerable to the Jedi Council, not the Republic Navy. And the last time I checked, Jedi don't take orders from officers who threaten to conquer peaceful worlds because they won't submit fast enough." "The Jedi Order serves the Republic," Tarkin replied. "That service requires obedience to Republic military authority during wartime operations. Your insubordination saved the Republic from making a catastrophic mistake," Obi-Wan interrupted, his tone carrying steel beneath the diplomatic surface. Admiral, in the past hour, 17 core world senators have called for your immediate recall. The Jedi Council has transmitted orders that I'm to assess the Earth situation independently of your tactical command, and Supreme Chancellor Palpatine himself has suspended your authorization to take military action pending Senate review. That was a lie. The Council had done no such thing, and Palpatine's response hadn't arrived yet. But Tarkin couldn't verify it quickly enough to matter, and the bluff would buy them time. Tarkin's jaw tightened, but he was too disciplined to let anger override tactical thinking. You're playing a dangerous game, Kenobi. Earth's broadcast has created political complications, yes, but those complications don't change the strategic reality. This system is too valuable to leave in hostile or neutral hands. Eventually, the Senate will authorize whatever action is necessary to secure it. Then you should wait for that authorization, Obi-Wan replied. Instead of threatening independent action that would prove every criticism the Separatists have made about Republic imperialism. Speaking of the Separatists, Count Dooku's voice cut in as his hologram materialized beside Tarkin's. The former Jedi Master looked amused rather than angry, as if watching a particularly entertaining theatrical performance. Admiral Tarkin, it seems Earth has outmaneuvered us both. How embarrassing for you. Threatened with political consequences for attempting the very conquest you assured your superiors would be simple and clean. Your manipulation was equally exposed, Dooku, Tarkin shot back. The galaxy now knows about your labor camps, your strip mining operations, not my honesty about what the Confederacy offers, Dooku interrupted smoothly. Unlike the Republic, I never pretended we were motivated purely by altruism. Earth knew we wanted strategic advantage and resources. They simply decided our honesty was preferable to your deception dressed as protection. In the UN Situation Room, world leaders watched this exchange with the fascination of people witnessing their fate being debated by beings from another reality. They're arguing about who gets to control us like we're property. The American president observed quietly, even after our broadcast, even after we demonstrated we're not helpless, they still think they get to decide our future. Because from their perspective, they do, General Webb replied. We embarrassed them politically, but we didn't change the military equation. They still have weapons that can glass our planet. We still can't stop them if they decide the political cost is acceptable. Dr. Chen had been monitoring something on her terminal, her expression growing increasingly alarmed. We have a bigger problem. I've been tracking communication patterns from both fleets. They're coordinating. Tarkin and Dooku are talking to each other through encrypted back channels. What? The Secretary General moved to her screen. They're enemies. Why would they coordinate? Because we're a common problem, Chen said, pulling up the data. Earth refusing both sides doesn't just embarrass them individually. It undermines the entire framework of the Clone Wars. If worlds can refuse to choose sides, if they can demand independence from both factions, then what's everyone been fighting for? We're an existential threat to their war's logic. Anakin felt cold realization wash over him. They're going to attack together, make an example of Earth to show other worlds what happens when you refuse to participate in their conflict. Tarkin gets to demonstrate Republic military power. Dooku gets to prove the Separatists are equally ruthless, and they both eliminate a problem that threatens to expose their war as the political theater it's always been. Can they do that? The Russian foreign minister demanded. Can two opposing forces just decide to cooperate against a third party? They've done it before, Obi-Wan said grimly. During the Mandalorian Wars, Republic and Sith forces temporarily allied to crush a neutral coalition that threatened both their interests. It's rare. But when both sides face a common threat to their power structures, they'll cooperate long enough to eliminate it. Rex's comlink chirped urgently. He listened for a moment, his expression darkening. Sirs, Admiral Yularen reports both fleets are repositioning. They're forming a joint blockade around Earth. Any vessel attempting to leave the system will be fired upon. They're not invading, they're containing. A siege, Webb said, his military mind immediately grasping the implications. They can't attack without massive political costs, but they can isolate us, cut us off from any outside support, wait until Earth's internal divisions and resource limitations force us to accept one side or the other's terms. How long could Earth survive under complete blockade? Obi-Wan asked. Indefinitely for basic survival, the Chinese premier answered. We're self-sufficient for food, water, energy, but we'd be frozen at our current technological level. No access to galactic knowledge, no trade, no immigration or emigration. We'd be prisoners on our own world, watching the galaxy advance without us. That might be their compromise position, Anakin said. Neither side gets Earth's allegiance, but neither side has to accept Earth's independence. They just lock you away until desperation makes you compliant. The Secretary General's expression hardened. Then we need to break the blockade before it fully forms. Show them that containing Earth is more expensive than respecting Earth. With what? Webb asked. Even our most creative weapons require ships to deliver them. If both fleets are coordinating point defense, nothing we launch gets through. Nothing conventional, Dr. Chen said slowly, her fingers flying across her keyboard. But what about unconventional? I've been analyzing the slipstream patterns their ships use for positioning. They're precise, coordinated, following tactical doctrine that's probably been refined over thousands of years, which means it's predictable. Anakin finished, catching her thought. They're following standard fleet positioning algorithms. If you could disrupt those patterns, we crash their ships into each other, Chen completed. Not destroy them, we don't have that capability, but create enough chaos that maintaining a coordinated blockade becomes impossible. Then Earth becomes too difficult to contain efficiently, and the political costs start to outweigh the strategic benefit. How? Obi-Wan asked. You'd need to hack into military-grade navigation systems on dozens of vessels simultaneously while they're actively defending against infiltration. Chen pulled up a schematic that made Anakin's eyes widen. We don't hack them, we hack gravity. According to the data General Skywalker provided, their ships use gravitational anchoring to maintain formation, measuring local space-time curvature and adjusting position accordingly. If we could generate artificial gravity fluctuations, massive, unpredictable, covering a wide area, their navigation systems would receive contradictory data. Ships would drift out of position trying to compensate. In the chaos, the blockade fails. Earth doesn't have artificial gravity technology, the French general pointed out. No, Chen agreed. But we have nuclear weapons. Lots of them. Man, we know from Republic data that large energy releases do affect local space-time. If we detonated enough high-yield warheads in carefully calculated patterns around the blockade formation, you'd create gravitational chaos that would force both fleets to break formation or risk collision, Anakin said, his mind racing through the physics. It's insane. The calculations would have to be perfect. If you miscalculate the detonation pattern, we kill everyone, Chen finished. Both fleets, everyone on Earth within blast radius, possibly destabilize Earth's orbit. Yes, it's the most dangerous option possible, which is why it might work as a deterrent rather than something we actually do. The room fell silent as everyone processed what she was suggesting. You want to threaten mutual destruction, the Secretary General said slowly. Tell both fleets that if they enforce the blockade, we'll detonate enough nuclear weapons to kill everyone, them and us. I want to demonstrate we're not rational actors by their standards, Chen corrected. They're operating on the assumption that we'll choose survival over freedom, that eventually isolation will force us to accept terms. If we prove we'll choose death over subjugation, that we're willing to take them with us, then the strategic calculation changes. We stop being a prize worth claiming and become a threat worth avoiding. That's madness, Obi-Wan protested. You're betting that Tarkin and Dooku will believe you're crazy enough to actually do it. Are we crazy enough? The American president asked, looking around the room. If they enforce the blockade, if they condemn 8 billion people to eternal isolation, are we actually prepared to detonate enough nuclear weapons to kill ourselves rather than submit? The silence that followed was answer enough. No one was sure, and that uncertainty was exactly what made the threat credible. I'll say this for Earth, Dooku's voice cut in. Apparently he'd been monitoring their communications the entire time. You're certainly committed to your independence, but Dr. Chen, you're operating on incomplete information. Nuclear weapons don't affect space-time significantly enough to disrupt modern navigation systems. Your deterrent is based on faulty physics. Chen smiled grimly. Then you won't mind if we test it. We have approximately 200 tactical warheads. We can launch within minutes. Even if the gravitational effect is minimal, that's still a lot of radioactive debris cluttering your nice, orderly blockade formation. Hard to maintain military precision when you're dodging nuclear fallout. You'd irradiate your own orbit, Tarkin said, his voice carrying genuine shock at the concept, making space travel from your world impossible for decades. That's not a deterrent. That's civilizational suicide. It's a statement, the Secretary General replied. That Earth will not cooperate with its own imprisonment. You want to blockade us. You'll do it through a radioactive debris field that makes maintaining position actively hazardous. You want to contain us indefinitely. You'll spend years in a system that's become a navigational nightmare. We're willing to pay that price if you're willing to enforce the blockade. Anakin watched Tarkin and Dooku's expressions as they processed this. Both were calculating, reassessing, they're trying to determine if Earth was bluffing or genuinely insane enough to follow through. This is why primitive civilizations are dangerous, Dooku said, almost admiringly. You haven't learned that some prices aren't worth paying. You still believe that anything is better than submission. It's refreshing in a terrifying sort of way. "We're withdrawing," Tarkin announced abruptly, "not because of your threats, but because this situation requires political resolution rather than military force. The Senate will determine Earth's status through proper channels. Until then, the Republic fleet will maintain position outside your system's heliopause. We won't prevent your ships from launching, but any attempt to leave your system will be monitored. The Confederacy likewise will respect Earth's unique position," Dooku said. "For now. But understand, this reprieve is temporary. Eventually, you will have to choose. The galaxy doesn't allow for permanent neutrality. Sooner or later, the Clone Wars will force your hand." Both holograms flickered out. The Situation Room erupted into cautious celebration. They'd done it. Forced both sides to back down through sheer audacity and a willingness to threaten mutual destruction. But Anakin noticed George Lucas in the corner, his expression troubled rather than relieved. "You don't think we won," Anakin said quietly, moving to stand beside the filmmaker. "I think you bought time," Lucas replied, "which is good. But in my visions, Earth's story doesn't end here. The Clone Wars continue. The Republic falls, the Empire rises, and Earth—" He paused. "Earth becomes something neither side expected, with something that changes the entire equation." "What do you mean?" Lucas met his eyes. "In my visions, I see flashes, images that don't quite fit the main narrative. Humans from Earth fighting alongside rebels against the Empire. Earth technology integrated with galactic warfare in ways that terrify everyone. A homeworld that refused to be conquered, becoming the symbol of resistance that eventually brings down the Emperor." He paused, then added quietly, "And I see you, Anakin, years from now, wearing black armor, hunting rebels on Earth, trying to crush the very independence you just helped protect. The future isn't fixed, but it's heading in directions none of us are prepared for." Anakin wanted to argue, to insist that Lucas's visions were wrong about his future. But the certainty in the filmmaker's eyes suggested he'd seen something that couldn't be easily dismissed. "If that future comes," Anakin said finally, "then we'll change it. That's what free will is for." "I hope you're right," Lucas replied, "because the alternative is worse than you can imagine." 3 months after first contact, Earth had become something the galaxy had never seen. A recognized neutral world, actively preparing for war against everyone. The UN Security Council had been transformed into something closer to a planetary government by necessity. When you're facing existential threats from multiple galactic superpowers, national sovereignty becomes a luxury you can't afford. The major powers, United States, China, Russia, EU, India, had formed a joint command structure that their populations still didn't entirely trust, but accepted because the alternative was conquest. Anakin stood in what Earth called the Integration Facility, a massive complex in Geneva, where Republic technology met human ingenuity in ways that made even him uncomfortable. Dr. Xi Chen led him through corridors filled with engineers who were doing things with Republic equipment that the manufacturers had never imagined. "This is the fabrication wing," Chen explained, gesturing to a massive space where 3D printers, Earth's crude version of molecular assembly, worked alongside Republic manufacturing technology that humans had reverse engineered with disturbing speed. We're producing hybrid weapon systems, your energy weapon principles, our materials and delivery mechanisms. She activated a display showing what looked like a standard Earth missile. Looks conventional, right? But the warhead uses a miniaturized plasma generator based on lightsaber crystal technology. We can't make lightsabers, don't have access to kyber crystals and your force attuning process, but we can make single-use plasma charges that hit with about 60% of a lightsaber's cutting power. You weaponized Jedi technology, Anakin said, his voice flat. The weapon of peacekeepers turned into a missile warhead. We weaponized the principle, Chen corrected. And before you judge us, remember that your people designed these as weapons first. Lightsabers are elegant, sure, but they're still designed to kill. We're just being more honest about it. They moved to another section where human hackers, Chen called them white hat cybersecurity experts, were working with modified Republic datapads. This is the Electronic Warfare Division. We've been studying Separatist slicing techniques from the attacks they attempted on our satellites. Now we're developing countermeasures and our own intrusion software. One of the hackers, a young woman with purple hair and a tattoo of circuit boards on her arm, looked up from her work. General Skywalker questioned, "Is it true that Separatist battle droids have centralized control networks that coordinate their entire army?" "Yes," Anakin said warily. "Control ships manage droid formations. Why?" "Because centralized control is a single point of failure," the hacker said, grinning. "We've been modeling how to spoof command signals, inject false orders, maybe even turn droid armies against their own fleets. Your military doesn't do this." "We destroy the control ships," Anakin replied. "We don't hack enemy droids mid-battle." "That's because you're thinking like people who've had the same technology for thousands of years," Chen said. "You've optimized your tactics around established capabilities. Earth doesn't have that baggage. We look at every system and ask, how can we break it? How can we exploit it? How can we turn enemy assets against them?" She led him to a secured vault where several objects under heavy guard made Anakin's blood run cold. They looked like conventional explosives, but the radiation signatures were wrong. "Are those modified nuclear warheads with Republic power cell augmentation?" Chen confirmed. "We took your reactor efficiency principles and applied them to our weapon yields. These aren't as powerful as turbo lasers, but they're small enough to fit in a fighter-sized delivery vehicle. By end, they can be mass-produced using our existing industrial base. If Earth goes to war, we'll lose, but we'll make it expensive." "This is insane," Anakin said. "You're turning your entire civilization into a weapons development program." "We're turning our entire civilization into a survival program," Chen corrected. "The Republic and Separatists gave us a choice. Join us or be conquered. We chose option 3, become too dangerous to threaten. Every innovation you see here is something that makes attacking Earth more costly. Eventually, the cost-benefit analysis favors leaving us alone." They emerged from the facility into Geneva's afternoon sun. The city had changed in 3 months. Republic-style buildings under construction alongside Earth architecture. Humans wearing clothing that mixed local and galactic styles, and everywhere, with the presence of clone troopers who'd been loaned to Earth as training advisors. Rex approached, his armor now bearing Earth insignia alongside Republic markings. "Sir, the Secretary General is requesting your presence. Something about the Senate's decision on Earth's status." The UN Command Center had evolved into a hybrid space where Earth's leaders interfaced with galactic politics through technology they barely understood. The Secretary General stood at the center, surrounded by advisors and military officers, watching a holographic transmission from Coruscant. "The Galactic Senate has reached a decision regarding Earth," a senator announced. Some bureaucrat whose name Anakin hadn't bothered learning. "After extensive debate and consultation with the Jedi Council, we have classified Earth as a protected sovereign world under Republic Charter Section 7A. This designation recognizes Earth's right to self-governance while acknowledging Republic security interests in the system." "What does that actually mean?" the American president asked. "It means Earth is not required to join the Republic or contribute military forces to the Clone Wars," Obi-Wan explained from his position beside Anakin. He'd returned from Coruscant 2 weeks ago, having spent months defending their actions before the Council and Senate. "But it also means the Republic maintains a military presence in your system for your protection, whether you want it or not." "And the Separatists' response?" the Russian foreign minister asked. "The Count Dooku has declared Earth a contested world of strategic interest," another senator announced. "The Confederacy doesn't recognize Republic protection claims and reserves the right to establish defensive positions to counter Republic military presence. So both sides are stationing fleets here permanently," the Secretary General translated. "Earth becomes a militarized zone where Republic and Separatist forces face off, with our world caught in the middle." "Essentially, yes," the senator confirmed. "But consider it a victory. You've maintained nominal independence while gaining the protection of Republic forces against Separatist aggression. Or Separatist protection against Republic imperialism, depending on your perspective," the Chinese premier observed dryly. "We've become a permanent battleground. So congratulations on our victory, I suppose." The transmission ended, leaving Earth's leaders to process their new reality. They'd won independence in name while losing it in practice. 2 hostile fleets hovering over their world, both claiming to protect Earth from the other, neither willing to actually leave. "There's more," Obi-Wan said quietly. "The Council has decided that Jedi will remain on Earth as permanent liaisons, officially to help mediate between Earth and Republic interests. Unofficially," he paused, "to monitor what Earth is doing with Republic technology and ensure you don't become a threat to galactic stability." "You mean to spy on us?" General Webb said flatly. "To observe," Obi-Wan corrected diplomatically, "though I won't pretend there's a meaningful difference. The Council is concerned about Earth's approach to weaponization. You're developing innovations that make even experienced military officers uncomfortable." "Good," Chen said. "That's the point." A junior officer interrupted, breathless from running. "Sirs, we have a situation. One of our deep space observation satellites detected something entering the system, not Republic or Separatist signatures, something else entirely." The tactical display lit up, showing a vessel, unlike anything in Republic or Separatist fleets. Sleek, deadly, marked with symbols that Anakin's translation software couldn't identify. "What is that?" the Secretary General asked. Rex was already pulling up comparative analysis. "Configuration doesn't match any known design in Republic databases. Hull composition suggests advanced stealth materials. Weapon signatures are..." He paused, his voice troubled. "They're similar to Earth's nuclear weapons, but miniaturized and refined for ship-to-ship combat. Whoever built this has technology that bridges Earth and Republic capabilities." "Mandalorians," Obi-Wan breathed. "That's a Mandalorian warship. But what are they doing here?" The answer came moments later, as the ship broadcast a message on open frequencies. The hologram showed a figure in distinctive armor, T-shaped visor, Beskar plating, weapons that looked like they'd been maintained through generations of use. "Earth," the Mandalorian said, their voice filtered through helmet speakers. "I am Bo-Katan Kryze of Clan Kryze, representing the Mandalorian people. We've been monitoring your situation with interest. A world that refuses conquest, develops innovative weapons, and is willing to threaten mutual destruction rather than submit. You've earned Mandalorian respect." "What do you want?" the Secretary General asked warily. "To offer alliance," Bo-Katan replied. "Not protection. We're not strong enough to defend you against Republic and Separatist forces combined, but partnership. Mandalorians are warriors, weapon designers, armor smiths. We've spent centuries perfecting combat technology. Earth has innovation, resources, and a mindset we recognize. Survival through strength, independence through capability. We can teach each other." "This is a trap," Tarkin's voice cut in, his hologram appearing alongside Bo-Katan's. "The Mandalorians are mercenaries and war profiteers. They'll arm Earth with advanced weapons technology and then sell those same innovations to the highest bidder. Don't trust them," says the man who threatened to conquer us, Chen muttered. Bo-Katan's helmet turned toward Tarkin's hologram. "Admiral, Earth has already proven they'll develop dangerous weapons, with or without our help. The question is whether those weapons are designed with warrior's honor or desperate improvisation. We offer the former. What do you offer besides threats and occupation?" "Protection from people like you," Tarkin shot back. "We don't need protection," the Secretary General said firmly, "but we're interested in partnership. If Mandalorians truly respect our independence, what specifically are you proposing?" "A technology exchange," Bo-Katan said. "We teach you Beskar alloy forging, advanced armor design, weapons systems that have proven effective against both Republic and Separatist forces. You share your innovation methodologies, your willingness to question established doctrine, your fresh perspective on warfare. Both our peoples benefit, and neither side is subordinate to the other." "And what do you get out of it?" the American president asked. "Beyond Earth technology? A world that refuses to be conquered," Bo-Katan replied. "Mandalorians have been fighting for independence for centuries. Sometimes we win, sometimes we lose. But we never stop trying. Earth demonstrates the same spirit. That's worth preserving, worth fighting for, worth allying with, even if the alliance serves mutual self-interest rather than idealism." Anakin watched the Earth leaders conferring quietly, seeing the calculation in their expressions. The Mandalorians were offering exactly what Earth needed: advanced military technology and training without demands for political submission. But Mandalorians were also notoriously mercenary, loyal to their clans, and credits more than abstract principles. We'll agree to preliminary discussions, the Secretary General decided. But be very clear, Bo-Katan, Earth doesn't hire mercenaries, and we won't become weapons dealers for whoever pays the most. If we develop new technologies, we control their distribution. If we learn Mandalorian techniques, we decide how they're used. This is partnership between equals, or it's nothing. Bo-Katan's helmet tilted in what might have been approval. Spoken like someone who understands what independence actually costs. Very well. We'll begin with a small delegation, 20 Mandalorians, specialists in various combat disciplines. They'll work with your military and scientific teams. We share knowledge, learn from each other, and see if this partnership is viable long-term. Agreed, the Secretary General said. Welcome to Earth, Mandalorians. Try not to start any wars while you're here. No promises, Bo-Katan replied, and Anakin could hear the smile in her voice. That evening, Anakin found Obi-Wan standing on the observation deck that Earth had built overlooking Geneva. The city lights spread below them, a reminder that billions of humans were going about their lives largely unaware of the cosmic chess game being played over their heads. This is getting complicated, Anakin said. When has anything involving you ever been simple? Obi-Wan replied, but there was fondness in his voice. The Earth has managed to turn First Contact into a diplomatic nightmare that's giving the entire Senate headaches. I'm almost impressed. They're going to get themselves killed, Anakin said, developing weapons that scare the Republic, allying with Mandalorians, threatening mutual destruction. It's only a matter of time before someone decides Earth is too dangerous to tolerate. Perhaps, Obi-Wan agreed. Or perhaps they're demonstrating something the galaxy has forgotten. That free will and independence are worth fighting for, even against impossible odds. That survival without dignity is just slavery with better living conditions. He paused. They remind me of you, actually. Refusing to accept limitations. Questioning authority. They're willing to break rules if the rules produce unjust outcomes. Is that a compliment or a criticism? Both, Obi-Wan said. As usual. He turned to face Anakin directly. George Lucas's visions still trouble you. It wasn't a question. Anakin nodded. He says I'll fall to the dark side, betray the Jedi, help Palpatine become Emperor, all because I'm afraid of losing Padme. And are you, Obi-Wan asked quietly, afraid of losing her? Anakin wanted to lie to insist he'd mastered his attachments, but Obi-Wan had known him too long. Yes, the visions Lucas described. I've had dreams like that. Padme dying, me unable to stop it. The fear that all my power means nothing when it matters most. Then Lucas's visions might be self-fulfilling, Obi-Wan said. You fear the future they show, so you make choices driven by that fear, which lead to the future you're trying to prevent. The Force works in circles sometimes, Anakin. The trick is knowing when to trust your instincts and when to question them. How do I tell the difference? You ask yourself, is this choice driven by love or by fear? Is it protecting someone or possessing them? Is it accepting loss as part of life or raging against death as if you can control it through will alone? Obi-Wan's voice softened. Padme is strong, Anakin. She survived assassination attempts, political intrigue, and war zones. She doesn't need you to save her from destiny. She needs you to trust her to face whatever comes with the same courage she's always shown. Anakin was silent, processing that. Below them, Earth continued its rotation, carrying billions of humans into a future none of them had imagined months ago. The Earth changed everything, Anakin said finally. Finding them, watching them refuse to submit, seeing humans who developed without the Jedi or Sith or the Force. It makes me question everything I thought I knew about destiny and choice. Good, Obi-Wan said. Questions are healthy. It's certainty that's dangerous. A proximity alarm sounded across the facility. Rex's voice came through comms. Generals, we have multiple hyperspace signatures entering the system. Separatist fleet, major deployment. Count Dooku is requesting communication. They rushed to the command center where Dooku's hologram was already displayed, his expression carrying an urgency that Anakin had never seen before. Obi-Wan, Anakin, Earth's leaders, listen carefully, Dooku said, his voice stripped of its usual theatricality. Something is coming. Something that makes our conflict irrelevant. I'm transmitting coordinates to a location in the unknown regions where we've detected an anomaly that... The transmission cut to static. Then every sensor in the system screamed warnings simultaneously as space itself began to tear open. The tear in space was wrong in ways that made every force sensitive in the system scream warnings through shattered psychic connections. Anakin felt it like claws raking through his mind, reality bending, breaking, admitting something that had no right to exist in this dimension. On every screen, the tactical displays showed the impossible. A rift expanding in the space between Earth and Mars, surrounded by energy readings that made Republic sensors return error codes because they literally didn't have categories for what they were detecting. And through that rift came ships, not Republic, not Separatist, not Mandalorian or any design in any galactic database. These vessels were organic and mechanical simultaneously, their hulls appearing to breathe, their weapons growing from structures that looked more like bone than metal. What the hell is that? General Webb demanded, his military composure cracking as decades of training failed to provide context for what he was seeing. Unknown, Admiral Yularen's hologram reported from the Resolute, his voice tight with controlled panic. Configuration doesn't match anything in Republic records going back 10,000 years. Energy signatures are... He paused, recalibrating. They're reading as both technology and biology. Sir, these ships are alive. The lead vessel was massive, dwarfing even Separatist battleships, its hull covered in what looked like scales or armor plating that pulsed with bioluminescent patterns. As they watched, it turned toward Earth with deliberate intent. And every human in the command center felt a primal terror that bypassed rational thought. "They're scanning us," Dr. Chen said, with her hands flying across her terminal. Multiple frequencies, some technological, some... I don't know what to call it. It's like they're tasting the electromagnetic spectrum, and they're focused on Earth specifically, not the Republic or Separatist fleets. Dooku's transmission re-established, his hologram flickering with interference. Unknown species from beyond the galactic rim. We detected their scout vessels 3 weeks ago in the unknown regions. They've been probing our borders, testing our defenses, and now... His voice cut out again as the alien vessels emitted a pulse that crashed every communication system in the sector. When systems came back online, there was a new transmission. not holographic, not audio. Something that bypassed technology entirely and projected directly into conscious minds. Every being in Earth's system suddenly heard / felt / experienced the same message simultaneously. World of isolated ones, you exist outside the singing. This makes you valuable. This makes you target. You will be harvested. Your genetic patterns will be consumed. Your world will be integrated. The presence behind the message was vast, ancient, utterly alien in ways that made Sith corruption seem warm by comparison. This was intelligence that viewed all other life as raw material, consciousness as a resource to be exploited, individuality as an inefficiency to be corrected. Harvested, the Secretary General repeated, her voice hollow. They're going to, what? Farm us? Worse, Obi-Wan said, his face pale. I can sense them through the Force now that they're closer. They're consuming species, taking their biological and technological distinctiveness and incorporating it into themselves. They're not conquerors, they're assimilators. Borg, George Lucas breathed from where he'd been consulting with military planners. Oh God, they're the Borg. The what? Anakin demanded. Different science fiction franchise, Lucas said, his hands shaking. But the principle is the same. A hive mind species that assimilates other civilizations, adding their biological and technological distinctiveness to their collective. Resistance is futile. That's their whole philosophy. You fight them, they learn from your tactics and adapt. You try to destroy them, they repair and improve. You run, they follow. They're the ultimate expression of conformity through force. That's impossible, Tarkin's hologram said, his voice carrying certainty despite the evidence before them. No species could function as a true hive mind across interstellar distances. The coordination requirements alone. The alien ships demonstrated exactly how they coordinated by moving as one organism. 12 vessels executing simultaneous maneuvers with precision that made Republic formations look sloppy. They accelerated toward Earth with purpose, their weapons beginning to glow with energy that sensors classified as both directed radiation and biological toxins. All fleets' defensive positions, Yularen commanded, and for the first time in Clone Wars history, Republic and Separatist vessels moved in coordinated response to a common threat. Tarkin's Star Destroyers formed a defensive line alongside Dooku's Providence-class vessels, the turbo lasers and ion cannons charging as two enemies became reluctant allies against something worse. Earth's defense grid online, web ordered, scramble all available fighters, deploy the deterrent weapons we've been developing. Someone tell me we have something that works against living ships. Nuclear warheads with plasma augmentation, Chen said, pulling up firing solutions. If they're partially biological, radiation should damage organic components, even if the technological parts resist. It's not ideal, but it's what we have. Fire on my command, the Secretary General said, her voice steady despite the cosmic horror bearing down on her world. All weapons free, Earth will not be harvested without a fight. The first engagement was brutal and educational in the worst ways. Republic turbo lasers struck the alien vessels and were absorbed. Not blocked by shields, not deflected by armor, but literally absorbed as if the hull was drinking energy. Separatist ion cannons proved equally useless, the living ships unaffected by electromagnetic pulses that would have disabled conventional technology. Earth's nuclear missiles, however, got through. The alien vessels hadn't encountered explosive kinetic weapons designed to spray radioactive material across wide areas. When the first warhead detonated against a mid-sized harvester ship, the effect was immediate. Hull plating withered, bioluminescent patterns flickered and died, and the vessel began tumbling out of formation as its organic components succumbed to radiation poisoning. Genetic adaptation required, analyzing primitive chemical explosives, defensive proteins sequencing. The message came with horrible certainty. They were learning. The next volley of nuclear missiles encountered a different response as the alien ships deployed some kind of organic countermeasure that caught and neutralized the warheads before detonation. They adapted in real time, Chen said, her voice tight. Saw our attack, analyzed it, and developed a counter in less than 3 minutes. Lucas was right. They learn from everything we throw at them. Then we don't give them time to learn, Anakin said, igniting his lightsaber. Rex, prep a boarding team. If their hulls absorb energy weapons, let's see how they handle Jedi with lightsabers cutting through them from the inside. That's suicide, Obi-Wan protested. You don't know what's inside those ships. Could be toxic atmosphere, biological defenses, assimilation chambers. Could be the command center that's coordinating their entire fleet, Anakin countered. Someone has to try, and I'm not going to stand here watching Earth get harvested when I can do something about it. Bo-Katan's hologram appeared on the command channel. Mandalorians will join the boarding action. We've fought plenty of things that shouldn't exist. These are just bigger and uglier than most. Prepare your transports. We're going in. What followed was the strangest military operation in galactic history. Jedi, Mandalorians, clone troopers, and human special forces launching a coordinated boarding action against alien vessels, while Republic and Separatist fleets provided covering fire against an enemy that kept adapting to everything they tried. The Anakin cut through the hull of the largest alien vessel with his lightsaber, the plasma blade proving effective against the organic metallic composite where turbo lasers had failed. Inside was a nightmare, corridors that pulsed like intestines, walls covered in neural networks that twitched when damaged, and everywhere, the sensation of being watched by vast, distributed intelligence that viewed them as cellular contaminants. This is insane, Rex said, his blaster cutting down something that was part machine, part insect, and entirely hostile. These things are like battle droids if battle droids were alive and hungry. Keep moving, Anakin ordered, following his force senses toward what felt like the center of the ship's consciousness. They fought through waves of assimilated beings, creatures from dozens of species, all converted into components of the hive mind, attacking with coordinated efficiency that made clone tactics look amateur. They reached what had to be the command center, a massive chamber where biological computing filled every surface, neural networks processing information from across the fleet. And at the center, something that might have been an individual once, but was now just another node in the collective. Jedi organism detected, force-based abilities noted, genetic sequencing will enhance collective combat efficiency. The chamber's walls began secreting some kind of neural binding agent designed to trap Anakin, to connect him to the hive mind, to make him just another processed consciousness in their collective. He felt it reaching for his mind, trying to subsume his individuality into their unified whole. And then he felt something else. Padme, through their force bond, distant but clear, her presence in his mind, her distinct identity, her absolute refusal to be anything other than herself. It was everything the hive mind wasn't: individual, emotional, chaotic, beautiful, human. "You can't have us," Anakin said, and channeled the Force in ways he'd been taught were dangerous, not the controlled applications Jedi used, but raw power focused through absolute determination. He reached out to every Force sensitive in the system: Obi-Wan, the other Jedi, even the latent potential in humans like Dr. Chen, who'd been exposed to Republic technology and begun to resonate with the Force without knowing it. Together they pushed. It wasn't elegant, it wasn't refined. It was billions of individual wills, all screaming the same message: we exist as ourselves. We will not be consumed. The alien vessels shuddered. Their coordinated movements became erratic. The hive mind that had assimilated hundreds of species suddenly encountered something it had no framework for: a collective resistance that wasn't another hive mind, but billions of individuals choosing to fight together while remaining distinct. Incomprehensible. Individualism should create weakness, creates strength. Updating threat assessment. Tactical withdrawal advised. The alien fleet began to retreat, pulling back toward the rift in space they'd emerged from. But before they left, one final message. This genetic pattern registered. Humans of this world will be priority target. We will return with adapted protocols. Resistance will be analyzed. Futility will be demonstrated. Then they were gone, the rift collapsing behind them, leaving behind a system full of damaged ships, exhausted defenders, and the terrible knowledge that Earth had just made enemies of something that viewed the Clone Wars as irrelevant noise. In the UN Command Center, nobody celebrated. They'd won, technically, driven off the invaders, survived first contact with a species that made Republic and Separatist seem friendly by comparison. "They're coming back," the Secretary General said quietly, "and next time they'll be prepared for everything we used against them." "Then we prepare better," General Webb replied. "Republic and Separatist technology, Mandalorian weapons training, human innovation, Force abilities if we can train people to use them. We build everything we can because those things are coming back, and they won't underestimate us twice." Tarkin's hologram appeared, his expression showing the closest thing to respect Anakin had ever seen from him. "The Republic fleet will remain in this system, not to control Earth, but to defend it. That threat represents a danger to the entire galaxy. If they return, we fight together." "The Confederacy agrees," Dooku added, his hologram materializing. "I've transmitted everything we observed to our military command. They're recommending a temporary ceasefire with the Republic to address this external threat. Earth's survival may determine galactic survival." The Secretary General looked at Obi-Wan and Anakin. "Looks like we've managed to unite Republic and Separatist forces through sheer terror. That's something?" "It's a start," Obi-Wan said, "though I suspect the Supreme Chancellor won't appreciate his war being interrupted by an even worse threat." George Lucas stepped forward, his expression carrying a weight that suggested his visions were showing him something new. "The future I saw is changing. Anakin's fall, the Empire's rise, Order 66, All of it is still possible, still probable. But there's a new thread now. Earth surviving, Earth fighting, Earth becoming the wild card that nobody, not Palpatine, not Dooku, not even the Force itself, saw coming. He looked directly at Anakin. You still have choices to make, dark paths to avoid, but now you know something that might save you, that even beings without the Force can resist corruption. That individuality is strength, not weakness. But that fear of loss doesn't have to lead to the dark side. It can lead to protecting what you love without needing to possess it. Anakin felt Padmé's presence through their bond, felt her alive and distinct, and absolutely herself. Felt Earth beneath him, 8 billion individuals all choosing to resist rather than submit. Felt the Force around everything, binding it together while respecting that each being remained separate. Maybe the future Lucas saw could be changed. Maybe it couldn't. But Earth had proven that impossible odds weren't the same as inevitable outcomes. And if a primitive world could make the Republic and Separatists unite against common threats, could force Tarkin to respect their resistance, could survive assimilation attempts through sheer stubborn individuality, then maybe one Jedi could choose a different path than fear and darkness. Maybe. Earth's discovery changed the Clone Wars in ways historians would spend centuries analyzing. The Republic and Confederacy maintained their ceasefire for 6 months, long enough to establish joint defensive installations around Earth and develop protocols for fighting the Harvester species if they returned. The war resumed eventually. Palpatine ensured that. But it resumed different. Commanders who'd fought together against alien threats found it harder to view each other as absolute enemies. Soldiers who'd seen humans without the Force resist assimilation began questioning whether the Force truly determined destiny. Anakin never fell. The knowledge that individuality could survive external pressure, that love didn't require possession, that fear could be acknowledged without letting it drive your choices. These lessons from Earth prevented the future Lucas had seen. Palpatine tried to execute Order 66, but Earth's hackers had taught Republic intelligence how to detect inhibitor chips, and the clones were freed before the command could be given. The Empire never rose because Earth had shown the galaxy what happened when you fought for independence rather than accepting convenient tyranny. And when the Harvesters returned 3 years later with adapted protocols and determination to assimilate Earth's valuable genetic distinctiveness, they discovered something they'd never encountered. A galaxy united not through hive mind conformity, but through billions of individuals choosing to stand together. Republic, Separatist, Mandalorian, and Earth forces fighting side by side. Technology and Force abilities combined in ways neither had imagined. Innovation meeting tradition, meeting desperation, meeting hope. The Harvesters lost, badly, and the message that sent across the cosmos was simple. Humanity, both Earth's and the galaxy's, didn't submit, didn't assimilate, didn't accept that resistance was futile. They proved that resistance was mandatory, and that made all the difference. Earth remained independent, difficult, innovative, and absolutely refusing to make anyone's strategic calculations easy. They built the rebellion that never had to form because the Empire never rose. They remained the galaxy's reminder that primitive didn't mean weak, that isolation didn't mean inferior, that every civilization had something to teach. And somewhere, George Lucas continued having visions of stories that might have been films about a galaxy where the Republic fell and darkness reigned for decades before a farm boy from a desert planet brought hope. But in this timeline, that farm boy never needed to, because Earth had already shown the galaxy what hope looked like when 8 billion humans said no to conquest and made it stick.